The day before her wedding, my sister eloped with her ex-boyfriend, drugged unconscious. I was forced to marry Zhou Yunchen, the bankrupt cripple. In her stead, that very night, he shattered a wine glass across my face, the face bearing faint resemblance to my sister's, and sneered, "You were never the one I wanted to marry. Who the hell do you think you are? You're not her, and you'll never measure up." For years, I meticulously nursed his legs back to health and stood by him as he rebuilt his empire, rising to even greater heights, yet he still looked right through me. Later, I was kidnapped by his rivals and endured living hell. I thought he would come to save me, but when he appeared, Zhou Yunchen's face was cold as frost. Behind Zhou Corporation stand hundreds of families. I can't abandon them for you, Mengshi. I've wronged you. If there's a next life, I'll make it up to you properly. The first time he truly looked at me was to force me to my death. With a bitter smile, I plunged into the abyss. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn on the eve of being forced into a proxy marriage. Zhou Yunchen is getting married again. This time, he's finally marrying his long-cherished dream girl. The whole city is abuzz with grand celebrations, endless seas of romantic flowers stretching as far as the eye can see. When the news reached me, I lay dying on the ground like a stray dog. Covered in filth and blood, utterly broken, the kidnappers refused to believe Zhou Yunchen could be so heartless. In a fit of rage, he severed my ring finger, along with the plain wedding band still on it. He provocatively mailed it to the wedding venue. Meng Qingya burst into tears at the sight of the mangled, bloodied limbs. Zhou Yunchen flew into a rage before finally agreeing to meet me, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit. He cut a dashing figure brimming with confidence. Meanwhile, I was bound at the cliff's edge with disheveled hair, teetering precariously. The kidnapper snarled, demanding a ransom of 10 million. The cold blade pressed against my throat. After all, we were married. Surely Mr. Zhou wouldn't refuse to pay this sum, even with his new flame. But Zhou Yunchen's expression darkened instantly. His icy gaze met mine, frost creeping into his voice. The Zhou Group currently has multiple projects underway and is facing financial constraints. This company supports hundreds of families. I can't abandon them for you. My lips parted, but only a hoarse whisper escaped. Tears and blood blurred my vision. I'm starting to see how ridiculous I am. I never actually expected Zhou Yunchen to save me. Just 10 million. For someone worth billions, it's pocket change. Yet you wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice my life. The first time he truly looked at me was to force me to die. Mengshi, I've wronged you. If there's a next life, I'll make it up to you properly. Zhou Yunchen's indifferent attitude completely enraged the kidnapper. In his furious rage, he vengefully shoved me off the cliff with brutal force. The instant I was swallowed by the sea, gasping for air, it felt like I'd been transported back 7 years. 2. I'm the Meng family's shameful secret, their illegitimate daughter. Since childhood, I've endured endless scorn and verbal abuse. The arranged marriage with Zhou Yunchen belongs to my sister Meng Qingya. The true jewel of the Meng household. Zhou Yunchen had been deeply in love with Meng Qingya since their early years, but after his accidental paralysis and the Zhou family's financial collapse, Meng Qingya began treating Zhou Yunchen with contempt. She threw daily tantrums at home, threatening suicide and demanding to break off their engagement. I'd rather die than be forced to marry that bankrupt cripple. She even eloped with her ex-boyfriend the night before the wedding. To protect their reputation, the Meng family forced me to marry Zhou Yunchen. Mengshi, the Meng family raised you all these years. Now it's time to repay them. How dare you refuse such an honor? A bastard like you marrying into the Zhou family, you're getting far more than you deserve. Everyone kept sneering about my good fortune. That mere bastard actually climbed from the gutter to the palace, but they forgot. Zhou Yunchen doesn't want to marry me at all. Even though they've exhausted every excuse, skipping the bridal procession to stall and deceive, caking my face with heavy makeup to hide my features, that very night, Zhou Yunchen still recognized at first glance that I wasn't Meng Qingya, but with all eyes upon him, he couldn't afford to lose face and had no choice but to grit his teeth and play along. The Meng family had already secured their escape route long before. They pinned all the blame squarely on me. They claimed I'd been infatuated with Zhou Yunchen for years, and out of jealousy towards Meng Qingya, drove her into severe depression that forced her to seek treatment abroad. Bound by honor, the Meng family had no choice but to let me take her place in the marriage arrangement. Zhou Yunchen believed it without hesitation. In a fit of rage, he smashed his wine glass onto the floor. The flying glass shards shattered my face, the face that bore resemblance to Meng Qingya. I never wanted to marry you. Who do you think you are? You're not her. You'll never measure up. Clutching my bleeding wound, I felt as though plunged into an ice cellar. No matter how I defended myself afterward, Zhou Yunchen was convinced I'd sabotaged his destined marriage with Meng Qingya. The whole neighborhood scorned me as the homewrecker. drowning in endless curses and contempt. I grew so disoriented I nearly believed it myself. To atone for my sins, I began learning how to please Zhou Yunqin. When he struggled with mobility, I personally cared for him through rehabilitation until he could leave his wheelchair and stand again. During his critical illness when he lay unconscious, I climbed 9,000 stone steps on bleeding knees, kowtowing at each step to beg for his recovery. When the Zhou family faced financial ruin, I tirelessly secured investments for him, drinking until I vomited blood, helping him rise from ashes to glory. Yet Zhou Yunqin never gave me a decent look. Later, when Zhou Corporation was thriving, he successfully retaliated against the rival who had bankrupted him. Little did he know his desperate adversary would resort to kidnapping. I risked my life to protect him, only to be captured myself. They took me hostage, intending to use my life as leverage to force Zhou Yunqin into submission and demand a ransom of millions. Emotionally, I'm Zhou Yunqin's wife. Logically speaking, I saved Zhou Yunqin's life, yet for all his scheming, he never anticipated Zhou Yunqin never loved me. He just stood by and watched me drown in the abyss, vanishing without a trace. Zhou Yunqin wants to make it up to me in the next life, but if I could be reborn, I'd never want to meet him again. My whole life has been lived at others' bidding. Just once, I want to live for myself. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn on the eve of being forced into a proxy marriage. 3. Staring at my unblemished right cheek in the mirror, my eyes instantly welled up with tears. I dug my nails into my palms to keep from crying. Heaven has granted me a second chance at life. In my past life, I was shackled by the Meng family and their so-called debt of upbringing. I endured humiliation after humiliation, yielding at every turn. As an illegitimate child, I was the vile existence that shattered another family. Born to be scorned by all, I wasn't the one who made the first mistake. Why should I bear all the consequences alone? Whatever debt I owed the Meng family, I've repaid it in my past life. I want nothing more to do with Zhou Yunqin ever again. This time, I'm living for myself. With trembling hands, I grabbed the scissors and shredded the pristine white wedding dress I wore. After changing into comfortable sportswear, I took a deep breath and leaped from the second-floor balcony. 4. The entire Meng family was caught off guard. Who'd have thought a timid soul like me would dare to flee my own wedding? The moment I stumbled through the gates, they all froze in shock. Don't just stand there gawking. The bride's getting away. After her. Before I knew it, everyone was charging toward me. I ran with every ounce of strength I had, yet the footsteps behind grew ever closer. Suddenly, a familiar honk reached my ears. Struggling to lift my head, I saw a Maybach approaching. I lunged forward without a second thought, smashing straight into Jiang Yueli's prized car. Holy shit, who's got a death wish, daring to scam me? At his furious roar, the Meng family retinue immediately froze in their tracks. Simply put, Jiang Yueli was the Jiang family's much-doted youngest son, capricious, arrogant, and utterly unrestrained, feared like the king of hell himself. No one dared cross third young master Jiang. When Jiang Yueli realized it was me sprawled pitifully before his car, he froze in shock. Mengshi, what nonsense are you up to at this hour? Wait, why are you wearing a bridal veil? Isn't Meng Qingya the one getting married tomorrow? Ignoring the pain racking my body, I desperately clutched his wrist. Jiang Yueli, help me. They're forcing me to marry Zhou Yunqin. I won't. I'd rather die than marry him. Please save me. I screamed with all my might. A stifled sob escaped his throat as his entire body trembled uncontrollably. Jiang Yueli's gaze dropped, his eyebrow quirking with amusement. What makes you so sure I'd help you? No, you will. I know you will. My eyes burned crimson with unprecedented resolve. The Meng household descended into instant chaos. The lead security captain steeled himself and stepped forward. Young Master Jiang, our young lady acted foolishly and offended you. After her wedding, we'll surely visit to make proper amends. What the hell are you barking about? The arranged marriage was clearly between Zhou Yunqin and Meng Qingya. Jiang Yueli's eyes darkened as he stepped squarely in front of me. How convenient. Now that the Zhou family's fallen on hard times, the Mengs want to force Mengshi into this sham marriage. Disgusting. Listen up, you lot. I'm taking this matter into my own hands. Mengshi's under my protection now. Try stopping me if you dare. 5. With Jiang Yueli standing guard, none of the Meng family dared approach. They could only hesitate anxiously before contacting Mr. Meng and his wife. Meanwhile, under Jiang Yueli's protection, I was safely escorted into the neighboring Jiang residence. Warmth enveloped me the moment I stepped inside, yet I couldn't stop trembling on the couch, haunted by agonizing memories from past lives. When I came to my senses, someone had draped a coat over me. Well, I'll be damned. Never thought I'd see the day Mengshi stood her ground. Impressive. Jiang Yueli clicked her tongue lightly before tapping my forehead with her fingertip. I slowly raised my gaze. emotions swirling chaotically within me. No one knew that I, the despised illegitimate daughter, had grown up somewhat reluctantly alongside Jiang Yueli. Though the Meng and Jiang families were neighbors, their paths rarely crossed. As a child, I was neglected and kept in the backyard of a villa. Jiang Yueli, being mischievous and adventurous, gradually became my frequent visitor. He'd catch butterflies, weave grass ropes to amuse me, and occasionally bring delicious, expensive treats. Those were the only bright spots in my otherwise barren existence. As I grew older, I came to realize the wretchedness of my social standing. Fearing I might bring trouble to Jiang Yueli, I deliberately distanced myself. After marrying Zhou Yunqin, I only had one interaction with Jiang Yueli. My disfigured appearance made me intensely self-conscious. I couldn't even bear to meet him. Only a brief call remained. His voice sounded hoarse on the other end. "Is he treating you well?" Holding back brimming tears, I forced a smile. "Now I'm Mrs. Zhou, living the high life." After a long silence, Jiang Yueli finally chuckled. "Good. If he ever dares to mistreat you, I'll have your back." The moment the call ended, tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. Seeing my old friend again, I couldn't help but laugh. Jiang Yueli looked at me puzzled. "Oh no. Did the collision knock some sense out of you?" I shook my head slightly, gazing at him with heartfelt emotion. "It's just, really good to see you again." Jiang Yueli's face flushed crimson, his eyes darted nervously, too flustered to meet my gaze. "Humph, too late to realize how great I am now." He was putting up a tough front, yet still remembered to slip my favorite warm milk into my palm. 6. That night, I had a terrifying nightmare. In my dream, I inexplicably drifted back to my past life. There I saw Zhou Yunqin, always so aloof, cradling my lifeless body and weeping uncontrollably. He gave me a grand funeral, declaring to the world that I alone would always be his wife, while Meng Qingya, once cherished in his hands, became the laughingstock of everyone. After my death, Zhou Yunqin lived in a daze. He refused to leave my room, clutching my jade pendant tightly in his hand. It was the only keepsake left by my mother who died in childbirth, my most treasured possession. Cradling the pendant, he wept inconsolably, as if loving me with heart-wrenching intensity. In the end, he drunkenly swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills, claiming he'd join me in death. Yet wasn't he precisely the one who caused my demise? Startled awake, I shuddered with sheer absurdity and bitter amusement, woke up fresh the next morning, ran straight into Jiang Yueli returning from his morning jog. The boy radiated sunshine, far more pleasant than that gloomy Zhou Yunqin. "Meng Shi. What would you like for breakfast?" "I'll have the kitchen prepare it." "Deal, I've got your back." He sauntered over with a grin, but froze when he spotted the jade pendant in my hand. "Isn't this your mom's keepsake? You never even take it off normally. You saved me yesterday." "This is all I have worth giving," I answered truthfully. "I didn't save you expecting anything in return." "Then, should I take it back?" "No way. A gift given is water spilled. You've got to put it on me." How peculiar. The Meng residence's heating wasn't even turned up that high, yet the moment I fastened that jade pendant around Jiang Yueli's neck, his ears flushed crimson with heat. 7. Jiang Yueli was worried the Meng family might harass me again. Right after breakfast, he decided to take me abroad for a getaway. As we passed the Meng residence in his Maybach, there stood Meng Qingya, who was supposed to have eloped. When her gaze met mine, her eyes burned with unbridled hatred. "Meng Shi, a bastard like you should be groveling in gratitude for marrying into the Zhou family. How dare you cross me, you vile wretch? Mark my words, you'll pay for this, Mr." Meng and his wife glared at me with equal hatred burning in their eyes. Heaven must be blind to let us cross paths with such a shameless ingrate like you. But it was Zhou Qingya, not me, who was originally betrothed to Zhou Yunqin since childhood. I refused to be the scapegoat for this. Over there, Meng Qingya was dragged away by force. She cursed me with a miserable death the whole way, yet I felt absolutely nothing. In my past life, I'd already died a wretched death. No one controls my destiny in this life. Jiang Yueli listened to the vile curses. Feeling it was utterly unfair to me, with a press of the accelerator, we left the Meng residence behind. All the way, he clumsily tried to reassure me not to overthink things. We hadn't gone far when our car collided with a wedding procession. That man in the bespoke suit sitting in the Rolls-Royce's back seat, Zhou Yunqin, how could it be him? My heart began pounding like a drum. A chilling unease crept up his spine, spreading through his entire body. Why would Zhou Yunqin come for the wedding procession? Ever since losing the use of his legs, he'd been terrified of being seen in public. This was completely different from his previous life. Memories came flooding back, leaving me pale as a ghost in the passenger seat. Though unaware of my history with Zhou Yunqin, Jiang Yueli could clearly see my terror. He leaned over to reassure me. "Stay calm, don't leave the car." Jiang Yueli pulled over to make way for the Zhou family's wedding procession. then stepped out of his car. My congratulations, Chairman Zhou. A truly momentous occasion. Ah, young Master Jiang, your courtesy is appreciated. Zhou Yunqin directed his attendants to wheel him out of the vehicle with effortless composure. I recall young Master Jiang lives next to the main residence. How are their preparations going? The auspicious hour is nearly upon us, yet I haven't been able to reach them. Jiang Yueli replied without batting an eye. When I left, I heard the bride was still weeping and refusing to marry. Probably can't bear to leave home, I suppose. Hearing this, Zhou Yunqin in his wheelchair froze momentarily. A bitter smile played at his lips. So, she refused after all. But it's alright. I'll make it up to her properly. Just as their small talk was drawing to a close, a chilly gust of wind revealed the jade pendant hanging around Jiang Yueli's neck. The familiar pattern made Zhou Yunqin halt abruptly, then slowly, deliberately. He enunciated each word. Young Master Jiang, who gave you this jade pendant? 8. My heart skipped a beat as I hid inside the car. Jiang Yueli replied calmly, this was a gift from my sweetheart. What's the matter? Zhou Yunqin refused to believe it. There were many similar jade pendants, but this one had a distinctive chip on it. He'd seen it before. I clutched desperately at my collar, drenched in cold sweat. It felt like an invisible hand was strangling me, choking off any words of protest. My mind flooded with haunting memories of past suffering and humiliation. Zhou Yunqin's previously warm smile vanished instantly, his face darkening like storm clouds. He issued the command icily. The Maybach was completely hemmed in by the wedding motorcade. You're lying. This is clearly my fiancé's personal belonging. Search the car, now. The Zhou family members were poised to strike. Who dares? Jiang Yueli let out a cold laugh, his sharp eyes frosting over. Mr. Zhou, are you deliberately trampling on the Jiang family's dignity? With the Zhou family on the brink of bankruptcy, I wouldn't mind giving you that final push. The blatant threat darkened Zhou Yunqin's expression. Hearing this, the crowd hesitated to approach. After all, everyone knew third young Master Zhang's reputation as the living king of hell. That calm smile could vanish in an instant. No one would see death coming. Yet Zhou Yunqin refused to give up. He pushed the wheelchair forward until he saw the empty passenger seat of the Maybach. His expression faltered slightly, with an indescribable mix of melancholy and relief. Turning around, he offered an uncharacteristic apology. Marriage is a lifetime commitment, so I've been particularly invested. If I've offended third young master in any way, why not join us for the wedding banquet tonight? I'll make proper amends. Humph. Like I'd want your lousy invitation. Jiang Yueli's face remained frosty, a cold smirk playing at the corner of his lips. Seeing this, Zhou Yunqin's assistant leaned in and whispered, Mr. Zhou, if we delay any longer, we'll miss the auspicious hour. Missing the wedding procession's lucky timing could affect marital bliss. The words barely left his mouth. Without hesitation, Zhou Yunqin ordered the wedding motorcade to press on. Only when the red-ribboned Rolls-Royce had completely vanished from sight did Jiang Yueli finally look away. Moving to the rear of the vehicle to swiftly pop the trunk. Squinting against the bright light, I gasped for breath. Mengshi, are you okay? Should I take you to the hospital? Meeting Jiang Yueli's concerned gaze, I shook my head. I felt incredibly relieved to have thought of this solution at the critical moment. In my past life, during those countless excruciating days and nights at the Zhou residence, there were moments when I nearly couldn't endure it any longer. It was only by clinging to those few remaining fragments of happiness in my memory that I managed to struggle through. Most often, they were the playful banters and little quarrels between Jiang Yueli and me. On his 18th birthday, the Jiang family gifted him his beloved Maybach. The moment he got it, he couldn't wait to start customizing. He'd constantly chatter in my ear about his modification ideas. Fully reclining passenger seats, clever rear seat compartments linking to the trunk. Over time, it became etched in my memory. I quickly hid myself before Zhou Yunqin could notice. My body trembled as tears welled up uncontrollably in my eyes. In this lifetime, I've finally severed all ties with irrelevant people. Seeing me so emotionally turbulent, Jiang Yueli sensed something was off, but considerately, he didn't press further. He crouched down and enveloped me in his warm embrace, gently brushing through my hair with his right hand. Oh dear, who's this poor little thing getting picked on? From now on, with me around, I won't let you shed a single tear. Pinky promise. It's settled. 9. Jiang Yueli noticed the turmoil in my heart, took me abroad right away. London, Paris, Iceland, Maldives. Spent over half the month constantly traveling. When you're feeling down, just travel. If traveling doesn't make you happy, you just haven't been to enough places. Thanks to young Master Zhang's twisted logic, I managed to put the Meng family and Zhou Yunqin completely out of my mind. Didn't even spend a moment dwelling on past life's miseries. Blink and you'll miss it. That's commando-style traveling. no time to catch your breath before rushing to the next scenic spot. Despite stuffing myself silly the whole trip, I somehow lost 5 pounds and even toned up all over. See. With me around, life's just gotten sweeter, hasn't it? Jian Yueli sidled up with a cheeky grin, bubbling with excitement about teaching me to dive and see coral reefs. He barely got halfway through his sentence when his own sister Jian Qian smacked him flat onto the sand. Scram, you clueless idiot. Can't you see Xiaoxi holding brown sugar water since last night? She's in delicate condition now. How could she possibly get in the water? Jian Qian launched into a relentless tirade against Jian Yueli. The latter gave me a pitiful look with exaggerated facial expressions. Just our luck. Jian Qian turned her head and caught him red-handed. And then, Jian Qian, you absolute lunatic. How dare you hit me? I'll tear you apart. I'm sorry. Please sis, stop hitting me. OW. The beach echoed once more with that familiar howl, rocking in my chair. I laughed till tears welled up. Though outsiders called Jian Yueli the third young Master Jiang, Demon King incarnate, the Jiang family did dote on their late-life son, but he had 3 older siblings above him, each an overwhelming presence by sheer bloodline dominance. In his own words, he was the poor little victim of their bullying. Xiaoxi, my siblings are so mean to me. You're the only kind one. Will you be my best friend forever? These were the tearful words Jian Yueli spoke to me at age 6 when he accidentally wandered into the Meng family's backyard. Later I learned his mischievousness had earned him a proper scolding from his 3 older siblings. Xiaoxi, the seafood here is absolutely divine. Come try some. Looking up, I saw Jian Qian placing a plate of peeled crayfish in front of me. Not far away, Jian Yueli, still smarting from her stern lecture, sat hunched over the table, noisily cracking open another round of crayfish. Noticing my hesitation, Jian Qian chuckled. Men should do more work. That's the Jiang family tradition. Eat up. This is all that rascal Jian Yueli's handiwork. Seeing this, I agreed. Alright, thanks sis Qian. Jian Qian tossed her hair. Nonsense. I'm the one who should be thanking you. If it weren't for you, I'd never have gotten to eat those crayfish that brat peeled himself. She chuckled softly, her gaze taking on a knowing glint as she looked at me. I didn't understand, blinking blankly. Sis Jian Qian. Jian Qian froze momentarily before suddenly bursting into laughter behind her hand. So my silly little brother actually. TSK, you youngsters are really something. What does that mean? I blinked even more confusedly. Jian Qian waved her hand dismissively and changed the subject. Let me secretly tell you some embarrassing stories about that brat Jian Yueli. After you started avoiding Shaoli in high school, he was utterly heartbroken, hiding under blankets wiping tears, eyes all red while stubbornly denying it. Isn't that hilarious? Those words instantly filled me with overwhelming guilt. Just as I was about to apologize, Jian Qian stopped me. Xiaoxi, I'm bringing this up now not to blame you. I understand your difficulties and the circumstances forcing your hand. You distanced yourself from Shaoli because of those hurtful rumors. Thinking it would protect him, Jian Qian looked at me intently, her tone solemn. Let's not dwell on the Meng family's messy affairs. You were just as much a victim in that generational feud. None of those past wrongs should be held against you. Shaoli told me you're exceptionally talented. Pick up skills effortlessly. You've got nothing to feel inferior about. The things weighing on you now, a decade or 2 later, you'll look back and realize they meant nothing. Jian Qian's faintly cool voice lingered by my ear, gradually melting into a warm current in my chest. My long lashes fluttered as I gazed at Jian Yueli still wrestling with the crayfish. My throat tickled as I asked, Sister Jian Qian, did he specifically ask you to counsel me? It could only be Jian Yueli, the only one who'd care enough to understand what's been weighing on my heart. Went through all that trouble to get his sister to talk sense into me, young Master Jiang III. With his arrogant demeanor that could freeze hell, yet beneath that exterior beats the tenderest heart of all. Well, aren't you two just perfectly in sync? I mean platonically, of course. Jian Qian flashed me a knowing smirk I couldn't decipher, declaring boldly, you're the first female friend Shaoli's ever introduced to us. He treasures you deeply. I truly hope you two make it last. At the end, she clicked her tongue lightly, just trying to earn some goodwill from my dense little brother. Give him more chances. I still didn't catch her underlying meaning, but one thing became clear. Jian Yueli treated me exceptionally well. When someone's kind to me, I'll return the favor in kind. So when Jian Yueli mentioned he'd just set up a new studio and was short-handed, I jumped at the opportunity without hesitation. After all, I'd spent years working at Zhou Corporation in my past life. I had those project workflows down pat. Then came the regret, of all things to remember. Why did my past life's troubles have to resurface? Murphy's Law strikes again. Just landed. Zhou Yunshan intercepted me right at the airport. 10. Jiang Yueli was having an absolute blast surfing in the Maldives. Even before disembarking, she started showing signs of catching a cold. Her nose turned so red she could have doubled as Santa Claus, worried he might be overexerting himself. I told him to go rest in the parking lot first. I went to collect the luggage alone. But I hadn't even taken 2 steps with the suitcase. Zhou Yunchen came straight at me, completely blocking the path. It had been ages since we last met. Confined to his wheelchair, he'd withered dramatically, his cheekbones hollowed into deep valleys, casting an even gloomier shadow over his entire being. Mingxi finally tracked you down. His raspy voice carried an unsettling edge of obsessive malice. My heart lurched as I fought to steady the tremor in my voice. Hi, brother-in-law, given a second chance at life, Zhou Yunchen finally married Meng Qingya as he'd always dreamed. Our relationship is strictly that of a brother-in-law and his wife's younger sister. How wonderful. Just as I was maneuvering my luggage to go around, Zhou Yunchen shifted his wheelchair abruptly, blocking my path again. Mengxi, drop the act. I know you've been reborn. Those 2 short sentences drained all color from my face. Digging my nails deep into my palms was the only thing keeping me sane. Just as I thought, Zhou Yunchen had been reborn too. Indeed, I should have seen this coming. Otherwise he'd never have joined the wedding procession that day. Zhou Yunchen, why must you go this far? Meeting his profound gaze, I remained utterly calm, without a ripple of emotion. In this second life, you finally married Meng Qingya, the one you've always longed for. You got what you wanted. Why must you still disturb my peace? You go your way, I'll go mine. Isn't that better? The heavens barely granted me this second chance. I mean it, truly, I do. I really don't want anything more to do with them. No, that's not how it is. Mingxi, let me explain. Zhou Yunchen's expression changed abruptly as he suddenly grabbed my hand tightly. You've got it all wrong. I never had feelings for Meng Qingya. In our past life, I only spread those wedding rumors to get back at her. To make her pay for betraying our love and humiliating me by jilting me at the altar. From beginning to end, you're the only one I've ever loved. Zhou Yunchen pleaded with me urgently. He confessed he'd long uncovered Meng Qingya's contempt toward him, unable to accept his years of devotion being wasted. He'd planned to humiliate Meng Qingya at her wedding as payback. His love for me was profound, though realized too late. Mingxi, believe me, you're the only one I've ever loved. But I was too foolish. After the Zhou family's bankruptcy left me crippled, people pretended sympathy while secretly mocking my disability. I dared trust no one, least of all that you genuinely care for me. I was wrong to doubt you. I regret it. God, how I regret it. Our rebirth is heaven's way of giving me a second chance. Mengxi, I'm begging you, let's start over, please. Zhou Yunchen's bloodshot eyes burned into mine. The only reason I joined that wedding procession was, I thought I'd be marrying you. Just say the word, a diamond the size of a quail's egg, $1 million gown, the most extravagant wedding this city's ever seen. I'll move mountains to make it happen. Will you marry me, darling? Zhou Yunchen gazed tenderly as he produced that diamond ring. I laughed until tears streamed down my face, for my past self's unworthiness, and for Zhou Yunchen's despicable deeds in this life. Zhou Yunchen, shall I refresh your memory on why I was reborn? It's because you murdered me with your own hands. You made enemies in business, yet I'm the one paying the price. Fine, even if you didn't love me back then, I'm still a human being, whipped bloody, beaten black and blue, not an inch of skin left unharmed. Then they chopped off my ring finger in disgrace. Could you endure this torment for me? You couldn't. Not only were you incapable, you coldly pushed me toward death. Ha ha ha. How utterly ridiculous. The butcher who subjected me to every humiliation dares claim to love me. Zhou Yunchen, doesn't your heart ache when you say such things? Oh wait, I forgot. You're a heartless, cold-blooded monster. It's just so tragically laughable. What kind of love only becomes clear when death comes knocking? Why should it be my death? Just to buy his so-called cheap, undying affection. I'm already dead. He's the one who killed me. What fucking good is that? Belated affection is cheaper than weeds. After laughing my fill, wiping tears from my face, I warned coldly, Zhou Yunchen, you'd better get the hell out of my sight, or I'll make sure you regret it. No one understands the crumbling Zhou Corporation better than I do, not even Zhou Yunchen himself. Back then I fought tooth and nail to protect it, and I could tear this damn company apart with a flick of my wrist, yet Zhou Yunchen somehow had this unshakable confidence. No, Mengxi, I know you couldn't bear to. He seemed lost in his own emotional world, his obsession bordering on terrifying. Don't worry, I'll marry you as soon as we get back. Once we correct this mistake, we'll live happily ever after. The way he kept muttering to himself sent chills down my spine. Madness. Zhou Yunchen must be out of his mind. I need to get out of here right now. But Zhou Yunchen seemed to sense the thought the moment it crossed my mind. Pushing his wheelchair forward, he effortlessly cornered me against the wall. Mengshi, there's no escape for you. My men have the place surrounded. You'll be Mrs. Zhou for the rest of your life, like it or not. The words barely left his mouth. A dark figure lunged from the shadows, landing a solid punch square on his face. Damn it, even in a wheelchair you can't behave, and you're dragging the disabled community's name through the mud. I'll beat your ass. 11. I didn't even have time to react. Jiang Yueli pummeled Zhou Yunchen with relentless punches, knocking him clean off his wheelchair onto the floor. So this is how you've been bullying Mengshi behind my back. Oh, now you care. After the damage is done, how dare you claim to love her? Disgusting. Get the hell out of here. Mengshi's under my protection now. Lay one finger on her and you're dead. He kept beating Zhou Yunchen until the man's face was swollen beyond recognition and he couldn't even speak, finally snapping out of it. I rushed forward to stop him. Enough. You'll kill him if this goes on. Jiang Yueli stared at me with a crumpled expression. You're scolding me. For him, every word dripped with hurt feelings. I'm just worried you'll get dragged into unnecessary trouble. That scumbag isn't worth covering for. I deftly smoothed Master Zhong's ruffled feathers. Besides, you're running a fever. Your health comes first. Humph. Jiang Yueli turned away petulantly, though his mood visibly brightened. Zhou Yunchen, lying on the ground, witnessed the whole scene. His face instantly turned deathly pale. I couldn't be bothered to deal with it any longer and simply dragged Jiang Yueli away. That chatterbox kept yammering nonstop the entire way. Lucky I came after noticing you were running late. Otherwise you'd have gotten bullied for sure. That bastard Zhou Yunchen thinks numbers mean everything. Well, I've had a whole security team on standby. His ragtag crew wouldn't stand a chance, despite his carefree demeanor. Jiang Yueli had picked up on the tension between me and Zhou Yunchen long ago. He'd already stationed security at the airport before boarding. That's how we managed to get away safely. Finally, he pressed his lips together and hesitated. Sorry, I didn't mean what I said earlier. Mengshi, do you hate me for this? My eyes widened in disbelief. Why, if anyone should be worried, it's me. Something as fantastical and bizarre as reincarnation. I'd be lucky if they didn't dissect me like some lab specimen. You suffered so much in your past life, yet I never lifted a finger to help. What kind of friend does that make me? His head hung low, radiating dejection. I shook my head. This wasn't your fault. Besides, that past life. He passed away shortly after that phone call ended. Lost his life protecting others during the overseas unrest. Such unpleasant news is better kept from those involved. Right before me, Jiang Yueli mumbled vows to protect me properly in this lifetime. I couldn't help but chuckle behind pursed lips. He remained blissfully unaware. On that day of fleeing the wedding, Jiang Yueli stepped directly into my path, so I quietly made up my mind. In this lifetime, I'll protect him with all my heart. 12. Zhou Yunchen, reborn into this life, seems to have truly gone mad. He appears to blame all sins on the Meng family, dragging the nearly bankrupt Zhou group into a desperate battle with the Meng family for business dominance. Armed with past life memories and shortcuts, the Meng family became the target of relentless retaliation. In less than half a year's time, they declared bankruptcy even earlier than the Zhou family. After returning home, I actually met with the Meng family. They came begging for help when they were at their wits' end, trying to use me to tap into the Jiang family's connections as their last desperate move, and they even had the audacity to bring up their so-called parental debt. You illegitimate brat, the Meng family raised you all these years, you owe us. This is sheer ingratitude. With a smile, I flung a basin of scalding water back at them, sending them screeching like scalded cats. This lifetime finally gave me the chance to uncover the truth. My mother was indeed the other woman back then, though she'd been kept in the dark, a naive college girl barely 20, all youthful beauty and innocence, swept off her feet by the affections of Meng family's sophisticated patriarch. By the time she learned the whole truth, she was already on the verge of childbirth. Overwhelmed by emotions, she suffered a fatal hemorrhage during the difficult labor, paying with her life for that wretched affair. The Meng family wasn't nearly as kind and benevolent as they claimed to be. Meng Qingyao was born prematurely and remained sickly throughout her childhood. By sheer coincidence, though born 2 years later, I shared the same blood type with her. I was nothing more than Meng Qingyao's walking blood bank, raised by the Meng family. Any debt of gratitude for raising me, I'd already repaid it fully in my past life, so in this lifetime, it's their turn to atone. 13. Half a year later. That's when I learned about Zhou Group's bankruptcy and Zhou Yunchen's wrist-slitting suicide. Many people said that Zhou Yunchen had gone completely delirious before his death. He kept muttering incessantly, "What's the worst that could happen? We'll just start over." That's right, just start over. All it takes is dying one more time. Utterly bizarre. Humph, even if he dies 1,000 deaths, it won't matter, with me here. No ghost or demon dares lay a finger on you. When this news reached them, I wasn't really that upset, but Jian Yueli thought it was terribly unlucky, so he took me to the temple for proper prayers. He even splurged on a Buddhist ritual, saying it would accumulate blessings and good fortune for me, one expense after another. That jade pendant wouldn't even begin to repay your kindness. After a moment's thought, I asked, "You've been too good to me, Jian Yueli, how can I ever repay you?" Jian Yueli's eyes flickered momentarily as his cheeks flushed crimson, then, "Would you consider liking me, Mingxi? Will you say yes?" Meeting his earnest, burning gaze, I chuckled softly. I wouldn't be so sure about that. We'll see how you do. Story 2, my boyfriend, UCI, is a complete control freak with an insanely strong and pathological possessiveness. I finally couldn't stand the torture and broke up with him. However, what I waited for wasn't more crazy and coercive means. It was the news of his death. He committed suicide. Reincarnated back to the time before I broke up with him, I lowered my eyes and looked at the man who was carefully patting the inside of the ankle cuffs with soft fabric. I raised my foot and stepped hard on his shoulder, curling the corners of my lips provocatively. "Stop dawdling. Are you going to do it or not? If you have the guts, make me unable to get out of bed, make me unable to go anywhere. Stop with all this useless stuff. 1. Can I eat you? That way, you can stay inside my body forever." When you see I said this, his head was buried in my chest, his scorching breath sprayed above my heart, and my surging blood vessels suddenly constricted for a moment. My scattered consciousness gradually focused, and I pushed him, but I couldn't move him. I groped for a cigarette from beside the pillow and stuffed it into my mouth, but I couldn't find the lighter no matter how hard I tried, and I felt irritated. "Then you'll be pooped out as shit, won't you?" "No. You'll become a part of me and stay with me forever." I bit the filter tip of the cigarette and gave a soft snort. Human cells can all be metabolized into new ones in 7 years. By then, I'll completely disappear and no longer exist. Taking advantage of the moment when he was in a daze, I pushed him away, sat up, and picked up the shirt beside me. It was torn to such an extent that it was completely unrecognizable. The pants were the same. It was a complete mess. I just took out a new pair from the wardrobe, and before I could put them on, I was pressed against the wardrobe door. "I don't want you to disappear." As he spoke, he secretly moved his waist, getting closer and closer. I said coldly, "I still have a social engagement. Can't you cancel it?" The ends of his hair rubbed chaotically against the base of my neck, making it itchy and prickly. I dodged, but was immediately held down firmly. "I've checked. The cocktail party later has no real value. Do you really want to talk about business, or do you want to flirt with other men?" Here we go again. I've told him countless times not to investigate my schedule, but he just turns a deaf ear. "Aren't you annoying? Are you annoyed by me?" A wet and warm kiss landed on my shoulder, lingering all the way to the side of my neck, and landed on the throbbing artery, turning into a gentle nibble. "You love me the most, don't you, Chin-Dai? You said that you love me the most and only me." I closed my eyes and was about to lose my temper when I was interrupted by a click. A cluster of blue flames sprang up in front of me. The cigarette was lit, but before I could take a puff, UCI took it away. The thin mist curled up and dispersed along with his soft chuckle. "I didn't say you couldn't go, as long as you carry." Suddenly, a strange foreign object invaded me. I widened my eyes and struggled with gritted teeth after realizing what happened. "Are you crazy?" The cigarette ash fell on my forearm, and my body instinctively shrank. UCI took the opportunity to succeed easily. "As long as you're good, I won't activate it." He blew into my ear. "Don't try to take it out yourself. I have real-time reminders here, too." UCI broke his promise. Just because I didn't answer his call in time, I clenched my phone tightly, quickened my steps to hide the embarrassing buzzing sound, and pushed open the door of the restroom. Unfortunately, there was an acquaintance inside. "Are you okay?" He looked at me with concern, so the frequency was immediately turned up to the highest level, and my legs went so weak that I almost couldn't stand. The cocktail party was full of nobles and they were chatting and laughing merrily, but I was in the narrow cubicle, dealing with the thing that UCI had forced on me in a way. The man outside the door didn't leave for a long time. People in this circle have seen all kinds of ways of having fun. A whistle was blown in a frivolous and playful tone. "Mr. Chin is really in the mood. Why are you using the tricks for male escorts on yourself?" The footsteps approached, and then the door panel was knocked. "Do you need my help? Push it in, or take it out." On the other end of the phone, UCI was aggressive. "Chin-Dai. Who is he? What are you doing? Why are you taking it out? Wait, I'm coming to find you." I pressed my forehead against the cold tiles. The shame receded, and a deep weariness welled up. In fact, this kind of weariness started a long time ago, But at this moment, for the first time, I seriously thought about that question. Why did I indulge UCI, indulge him in depriving me of my freedom, trampling on my dignity, and interfering with my normal social interactions? Was it because he met my aesthetic standards and I fell in love with him at first sight and forcefully took him for myself? Was it because we had been together for too long, from the age of 18 to 28? Was it because I owed him 3 lives? I turned my phone upside down and sat on the toilet seat, quietly smoking a cigarette. After exhaling the last puff of smoke, I sent him a message. UCI, it's over between us. This was the most severe lesson I could think of. And I hoped that he could learn to restrain himself from now on. 3. Afraid that he would imprison me again. When I went to the apartment to get my things, I called 5 bodyguards with me. Unexpectedly, he was very calm. I hadn't seen him for a few days, and the loose white shirt looked a bit empty on him. Maybe he knew I was coming, so he tidied his hair and shaved his beard in advance. Watching my men carry things out one by one, UCI suddenly asked, "Did the cigarette ash that fell that day scald you?" I knew him too well. I raised my chin to signal 2 bodyguards to stop him from coming forward to hold my hand. Sure enough, he revealed his true nature the next second. Through the 2 bodyguards, his beautiful light-colored eyes stared fixedly at me without blinking, and his eyes were dark. Chindai. He pursed his pale thin lips and pulled up a curve that could hardly be called a smile. "Do you think people will become ghosts after they die?" I didn't say anything, so he continued to talk on his own. "I wish I could become a ghost, then I could follow you forever. Wherever you go, I'll go. I don't have to worry all the time about what you're doing and who you're with, whether you have fallen in love with someone else." It was just a bluff. Even if he became a ghost, he would be a cowardly one. He didn't even dare to ask me why I broke up with him. Whether I had really fallen in love with someone else. Unfortunately, I could no longer answer him. He fell in the exhaust fumes of the car as I left, and his white shirt was stained with the glow of the evening clouds like a raging fire. Only late at night would I admit that I felt a bit regretful. As for what I regretted, I couldn't tell. A long time later, I was scalded by cigarette ash again. I stared blankly at it as it floated gently to the ground, and somewhere in my heart collapsed. It turned out that the answer was hidden in the ashes. I regretted that I didn't answer him at that time, that I was indeed scalded by the cigarette ash, but not burned. It left a light red mark smaller than a cherry petal, and it didn't hurt at all. But when I searched all over my arm for this cherry petal, I couldn't find it no matter how hard I tried. After all, 7 years had passed, and all the human cells had been replaced. It had been metabolized. UCI had completely disappeared and no longer existed. 8 years after UC's death, I was knocked down by someone who rushed out from the crowd while inspecting a construction site. This time, no one blocked the knife for me, and I fell into a pool of blood without reservation. As my consciousness faded away, there was only one thought in my mind: would I also become a ghost? But when I opened my eyes again, I saw UCI kneeling halfway beside the bed, carefully patting the inside of the ankle cuffs with soft fabric. Sensing that I wanted to pull away, he suddenly grabbed my ankle tightly, his eyes cold. "Do you want to run away?" I didn't actually want to run away. I stared blankly at the dark bruise on the corner of his mouth. Without thinking much, I leaned over and kissed it. It was warm. It wasn't a dream. UC's body suddenly tensed up, and then gradually relaxed. "Stop pretending. Didn't you hit me?" I hit him. The memories came flooding back to 9 years ago, a year before I broke up with him. My family didn't recognize my relationship with UCI and forced me to go on a blind date. It was with a wealthy family of the same social status, in a top-class high-end music restaurant. But UCI ran out and messed everything up. To maintain the relationship between the 2 families and to give the other party an explanation, I symbolically punched UCI. "Chindai, it's no use begging me now. Give up this idea as soon as possible." UCI had a gloomy expression. "You provoked me first, you said you loved me first, and you can only belong to me." I suddenly laughed. He was taken aback for a moment, and his face became even darker. "Is it that funny? What did I do before?" I held his head and said sorry, and promised him over and over again that I only loved him because of that bit of guilt. I tacitly endured his repeated out-of-line behaviors. The pathological control freak was actually cultivated by me. And then, I discarded him with my own hands. I laughed until tears welled up at the corners of my eyes. I raised my hand to wipe them away, and then traced his face carefully with my eyes again. My gaze moved down inch by inch and landed on his rolling Adam's apple. In the moment when he was distracted, I raised my foot and stepped hard on his shoulder. As I ground my foot, the thin chain on my ankle jingled, shining with golden fragments of light under the warm yellow bedside lamp. In this floating fragment of light, I curled the corners of my lips provocatively. "Stop dawdling. are you going to do it or not? He pressed down on my instep, and I calmly stepped on the center of his leg with my other foot. Come on, still no reaction. If you really have the ability, try your best to make me unable to get out of bed. Make me unable to go anywhere. Stop with all this useless stuff. Now both of my feet were caught, and I was pushed down on the bed. He pressed down on me like a mountain. His eyes were gloomy, with dark tides surging. Chindai, do you know what you're saying? I directly met his gaze, and the smile on my face grew wider. I said that if you leave me any strength at all, I might climb into someone else's bed. I'll call him husband, lie in his arms and smoke the same cigarette after sex, and listen to him blowing smoke rings and thanking you. Thank you for your fulfillment, for giving me to, You see, suppressed anger burst out in a powerful rush, instantly engulfing me. I was like a small boat helplessly bobbing up and down in the turbulent waves, and finally ran aground on the isolated island named UCI along with the waves, completely exhausted. My hand slipped off his body, and my fingertips gently that hard bulge. It was a knife wound that went through, very close to the heart. It was left by UCI when he stood in front of me to protect me at the age of 18. He always thought the scar was hideous and terrifying and didn't want me to see it. Over time, I almost forgot that he almost lost his life because of me, and his parents who actually lost their lives. In a moment of distraction, UCI pushed aside the hair on my forehead that was damp with sweat, and returned the provocation in the same manner from a superior position. Do you still have any strength left? The gloomy coldness from 2 hours ago was nowhere to be seen, and his eyebrows and eyes were filled with the flamboyant spirit that I missed. He was satisfied, and I really couldn't get out of bed anymore. 3 things: take my phone and transfer 800 yuan to yourself, carry me to take a shower, change the bed sheets and then go to sleep. UCI directly skipped to the second step. I'm not short of money, as a top trader. He really wasn't. I didn't force him and let him pick me up. Don't you want to know why it's 800 yuan? UCI hesitated. Finally, he put me down and obediently transferred the money to himself. I glanced at his receipt status and curled the corners of my lips. Well, you worked hard tonight. Keep up the good work next time. UCI was stunned for a moment. His knuckles holding the phone suddenly turned white, and he looked at me in disbelief. What do you take me for? Currently, you're still my boyfriend, but starting from today, I'm going to introduce a scoring mechanism. I'll transfer money to you according to your performance, with no upper limit. Today you did manage to make me unable to get out of bed, but you ignored my requests halfway through, so I can only give you this much. My body felt sticky and uncomfortable. Ignoring the rapidly dropping low air pressure around him, I said calmly and urged, shower. He stood still, his black eyes fixed on me. I don't understand. Do you want to break up with me? I don't want to for now. So I hope you can take it seriously. If one day I don't transfer money to you after you've done something, it means we're really over, finished. Do you understand? Looking at his pale face without a trace of blood, I pursed my lips and added in a brisk tone, of course, this isn't a one-way game. The money transferred to you counts as chips. When it reaches a certain amount, you can ask me to do things in return. It's okay to go a bit overboard. His thin lips moved. For example, telling you the lock screen password, taking the initiative to reject other men from getting close, going to the company with your thing in my mouth. UCI interrupted me coldly. I can make you do these things without using chips. He had returned to the gloomy look when he caught me on the blind date. What about getting married? As expected, UC's body shook violently, like a cedar shaking off the snow. Trembling slightly, I gave a soft laugh. As long as there are enough chips, I'll stay with you forever. 5. Forever. I've heard UCI say it countless times, but I've rarely said it myself. In my last life, I lost UCI forever. This time, I can't guarantee that I won't repeat the same mistake a year later, but one thing is very clear. I don't want to regret it anymore. I don't want to toss and turn in the middle of the night, imagining what the outcome would be if I hadn't broken up with him, if I had let him hold my hand. I want to mend his feelings of being worried about gaining and losing, and correct his extreme and suspicious mindset. With the confidence accumulated by the increasing number of chips, I will firmly catch his fall. After ending a meeting, I sent a message to UCI. What are you doing? He replied quickly, watching the market. He's always well behaved during the trading hours, mainly because he knows my whereabouts and knows that I'm also working seriously. Has the meeting ended? How did it go? As expected, I ignored this question and took a photo of my lower body. The belt cinched my narrow waist, and my long legs wrapped in suit pants were casually crossed. I suddenly want you. Come to my office. After sending it successfully, I turned my phone upside down, estimating the time from the apartment to the company. I instructed my secretary to move the next schedule forward. When you see I pushed the door open and entered, I was shaking hands warmly with a business partner. Our palms tightly overlapping, the expressions of both of us changed, one was surprised, and the other was gloomy. I smiled at the business partner. It's okay, he's my person, let's continue. You see I walked wordlessly to my side and sat down, a fragrant smell of body wash swept over with the flow of air. He had taken a shower. There was also the cold scent of shaving foam and mouthwash. He put in a lot of effort. But unfortunately, I didn't appreciate it. You see go and wait for me over there. He glanced at the corner I pointed to, and the light in his eyes turned 2 shades colder. What do you mean? I showed just the right amount of confusion. Don't you understand? I'm dealing with business matters. He stared at me in silence for a few seconds, then stood up, and sat in the position I had designated. The scheduled half-hour meeting seriously exceeded the time limit. During this period, you see I had been staring expressionlessly in this direction. I ignored him and continued the conversation enthusiastically, until he looked away for the first time, lowered his head and pressed the screen to light it up. I stood up in a timely manner. Let's call it a day. As soon as I saw the person off and before I could say anything, I was pressed onto the desk by UCI, having endured it for too long. His actions were much rougher than usual, but this fierce conquest that was bound to happen ended before it even began. UCI lowered his eyes and looked at the hand I had placed on his chest, his expression extremely bad-looking. I smiled indifferently. Sorry, I have another meeting later. How about we forget it for today? Are you playing with me? He said it through gritted teeth. He was really angry. Don't you know best whether I have a meeting or not and how important it is? He didn't say anything and didn't let me go either. We just remained in a stalemate. After a long time, I hooked my arm around his neck and leaned in. Come on, I know you made preparations. Well, give me a kiss then. You see I still didn't move. I wasn't going to spoil him either. Fine, if you don't want to kiss, that's okay. This time he finally moved. His warm lips covered mine. I didn't say I wouldn't kiss you. When the kiss became the most passionate, I pushed his shoulder. It's time for the meeting. The firm chest in front of me was still heaving. You see I took a deep breath and straightened up. Supporting himself on the desk, I picked up my phone, transferred the money to him, and then slowly sat up. He stared at the screen and said in a stiff tone, "Why is there an extra 0 compared to last time?" Because it felt good. 2 hours of intense struggle was not as good as 2 minutes of kissing. The line of UC's jaw tightened, and he stubbornly persisted as if nothing had happened. Was it not good last time? It was okay, but you were very obedient today, so I couldn't help but give you a little more. I turned on the front-facing camera and pressed my lips. Good, there were no marks, and it wouldn't delay the meeting. UCI stood aside and lowered his eyes, taking in all of my actions. My heart stirred, and the hand that was about to put the phone down pressed back again. My fingertips lingered on my lips, slowly rubbing and tracing the seam of my lips, and gently probing inside. Out of the corner of my eye, I clearly saw UC's Adam's apple rolling, his eyes obscure, and a bulge in his suit pants. Based on my understanding of him, he might have thought of 800 different positions on the way here. Now he has only kissed me once, and his desire is far from being satisfied. So what? I had already called a stop. After he couldn't help but take half a step closer, I tilted my head back and pretended to be confused. Is there something else? The man's large palm stroked my thigh and hooked onto the belt buckle. Don't go to the meeting. Of course you can, I replied quite readily, but my tone turned cold. However, you have to return the 8,000 yuan to me first. As I spoke, I reached out and grabbed the corner of his phone. UCI was taken aback for a moment and immediately clenched his grip. Why should you take it back? Because you want to go back on your word and you violated my affirmation of your obedience. Don't you think that a kiss is worth 8,000 yuan? I tugged at it but couldn't pull it away. UCI hastily hid his hand behind his back. No. Oh, so are we still going to do it or not? I'll go home and wait for you. He really didn't force me anymore. He said he would go home and then he went home. This was the first time that he had consciously restrained himself and taken the initiative to pull away, in order to be with me forever. The places on my body that he had touched were still surging with heat. I pressed the back of my hand against my burning cheek and let out a soft sigh. Since he could succeed for the first time, there would be a second time. Someday, we would surely develop a normal way of getting along as a couple. Right. 6. The alarm clock rang only once before it was turned off. UCI got out of bed softly and quietly. Then, some sounds of making breakfast came from the kitchen. I stared at the ceiling in a daze for a while. In my previous life, UCI hated the time from waking up to going out the most. He was like a big dog with separation anxiety, constantly spinning around me and interfering with my every move. Even if we can live to be 80 years old, We only have a little over 50 years left. It's too short. Why do we have to waste time on unimportant people and things? Can't we be together every moment? Chandai, don't go out. Okay, I'll support you. Such conversations happened every day, until he committed suicide and passed away. I, who had always liked to stay in bed, would reflexively throw off the quilt and get out of bed the moment the alarm clock rang, not daring to delay for even a second. I was afraid that when I came to my senses, there would be no warmth of his body on the other side of the bed. I was afraid that his sleepy plea would automatically ring in my mind. I was afraid that my emotions would be filled with the of never having responded to him. The meal is ready. Do you want to sleep for a while longer? My gaze shifted from the ceiling to UC's face. I shrank a little deeper into the quilt. Just 5 more minutes. In my 36-year life so far, I could be considered to have handled things with ease and made a great impact in my field, but having the initiative in my relationship with UCI was truly a first. UCI lay down beside me, and the 5 minutes were extended again and again. My secretary sent the confirmation of today's schedule. When I scrolled to the end, my fingertips stopped. It was a high school alumni reunion. My memory isn't very good. And this thing happened so many years ago that I can't remember exactly what happened. I just remember that after coming back from the alumni reunion, UCI, as if having an episode, chained me to the head of the bed and tortured me for a day and night. Do you want to go? His chin rested on my shoulder, within my tolerance range. He was both restless and obedient. Yeah, I'm going. Those people are now all influential figures. They're just talking about business in the name of reminiscing about old times. Although I already knew the answer, I still asked him, what about you? Of course, an alumni reunion is a hotbed for cheating and infidelity. I'm going to keep a close eye on you. It wasn't an aggressive interrogation. What a cute possessiveness. I turned around and stroked his face. The bruise had long since disappeared, and I couldn't help but lean in and kiss him again. He has a face so handsome that it makes both gods and men resentful. No matter when I see it, it makes my heart pound. My fingertips suddenly curled, except for that day, and every day after that day. I lowered my eyes. Yeah, keep an eye on me, just like that. In a moment of distraction, I gave up my original idea of fishing for evidence. There will be plenty of time in the future. There's no need to correct him so strictly. In such an occasion, it might be nice to give him enough a sense of security, thinking this way. During the whole gathering, I deliberately maintained an appropriate sense of distance, just enough to get the point across, but I still couldn't prevent enthusiastic people from putting their arms around me and getting handsy. I glanced at UCI. His expression was calm, and he didn't show much reaction. The heart that had been hanging all night finally settled down. It seemed that the training during this period was indeed effective. As the gathering was coming to an end, my childhood friend, who was always late, finally arrived. When he saw me, his eyes lit up and he walked straight towards me. He was the only one among this group of people that I could talk about old times with. He was also the prospective best man. He had been busy with the overseas branch office in the past 2 years, and we hadn't seen each other for quite a long time. Damn it, the plane was late. I'm starving to death. He put his arm around me and walked towards the buffet table. Accompany me to eat something. I showed a bit of genuine smile. What's the hurry? No one's going to rob your food. Just as I picked up the plate, he suddenly changed the subject and lowered his voice. Why are you still with him? I was taken aback for a moment and subconsciously turned my head. You see, I hadn't followed, so he probably hadn't heard. Just have some fun with him. Don't really get yourself involved. I'm not just having fun. I'm quite serious about it. My childhood friend glanced at me and stuffed a large mouthful of pasta into his mouth. I know you feel indebted to him, but your family has given him enough financial support over the years. You've even helped him achieve a class leap. What more do you want? I slowly frowned and was just about to reply when there was a loud crash behind me. You see, I was crouching halfway beside the dessert tower, and in front of him was a pistachio macaron that had been smashed into pieces. The waiter quickly came to deal with it. I instinctively took a step towards him, but my arm was grabbed. You see, this is the result of trying to force yourself into a circle that doesn't belong to you. You've really been abroad for too long. Your meanness has seeped into your bones. I turned cold. Before you open your mouth, go and find out who the big private equity boss your dad is trying to curry favor with is. Huh. His expression was blank for a moment, and then his eyes slowly widened. Holy shit, is it him? I ignored him and shook off his hand, walking towards UCI. Are you okay? UCI looked at me, his expression very calm. I didn't hold it steady. Ooh, do you like it? I rarely see you eat desserts. Let the hotel send some to our home. No need. He glanced at my childhood friend not far behind me. Are you done talking? I nodded and took his hand. Let's go home. His palm was astonishingly cold. Even when our fingers were intertwined, I couldn't warm it up, so I simply stuffed our hands into the pocket of my coat together. You see, I struggled slightly, just once, and then let me do as I pleased. When I looked up, I caught a glimpse of the gloom that flashed across his face, and an inexplicable sense of unease welled up in my heart. It seemed that there was something I had overlooked, but I had shown my attitude, and I had also clarified what needed to be clarified. What else could be wrong? I shook my head and tugged at him. The gathering was over, and everyone walked towards the parking lot in twos and threes, casting subtle glances in our direction. My relationship with UCI wasn't a secret in the circle, but I had never publicly admitted it. Kiss me. UC's hand curled up. I'll kiss you at home. Humph. A coward who only bluffs with me. Right now. Here, kiss me. He still didn't move, but the temperature of our intertwined palms rose, and it was warm in the pocket of my coat. I lowered my voice and brought out the chips. 100,000 yuan. The light in UC's eyes flickered, and he slightly lowered his head and pressed his lips against mine. The magnificent ceiling of the hotel was dazzling. I closed my eyes and responded to him, but he neatly pulled away when I wanted to deepen the kiss. He even pulled his hand back. I had always disliked putting my private life out in the open. Once, someone who was nosy gossiped about it in front of UCI. I neither denied nor confirmed it and fobbed the person off with ambiguous answers, so I thought that UCI must have been quite disappointed, which was why he kept asking me privately over and over again whether I really loved him or not. This intimacy now was a kind of affirmation of our relationship from me. But why does he look? Are you unhappy? No. UCI pursed his lips. But don't do this outside in the future. It's not appropriate. The person who forced me to go to the cocktail party with that thing in me now keeps saying it's not appropriate. I'm too lazy to refute. 7. The car stopped steadily downstairs, but UCI still sat there without moving. UCI, he turned his head, and the cold light of the phone screen shone on his face, casting a shadow under his stern features. On the screen was the record of my transfer to him, and he was calculating. Chindai, UCI turned off the screen and looked at me seriously. How much more do I need to be able to make a request? I was taken aback for a moment, and my tense nerves gradually relaxed. What was this? So he had something he wanted. Our sex life recently had been rather mediocre. He probably wanted to try something more exciting again. I patted the back of the driver's seat, indicating for the driver to get out of the car first. What do you want to play? Taming a pathological control freak like him back to normal had been going quite smoothly. It wouldn't be a bad idea to give him a little punishment. I counted on my fingers for him. 10,000 yuan in the car, 20,000 yuan in the elevator, 100,000 yuan on the top floor, and kissing is free. But you see, I asked, what about forever? I didn't understand the level for forever. He was so eager. I secretly smiled in my heart. Of course, I was also quite eager. While he was asleep, I secretly measured his finger circumference. The customized Cartier couple rings should be almost finished. 2 million yuan. It was exactly the price of the couple rings. After hearing this, you see, I didn't say anything. I leaned over. How much is still lacking? 1,390,000 yuan. His voice was a bit dull, mixed with a little bit of. I pondered for a while, and the word attachment somehow emerged in my heart. It was so strange. Why did I have such a feeling? I tentatively put my arms around his neck and said softly, it will be very soon. At the current rate, it will reach the amount the month after next. 2 months was enough time for me to design and decorate the proposal venue. The hand around my back slowly tightened, moving along my spine towards the small of my back. He let out a deep hum in response. I was feeling dizzy from his touch and hinted again, kissing is free. This time he understood. You see, I skillfully pinched my chin and kissed me. I had drunk a little at the gathering. From the sour gooseberries to the ripe red plums, this kiss gradually became more mellow, and we were reluctant to part, until the clear sound of the belt buckle rang out. UCI froze in his tracks as if waking up from a dream. The intimacy came to an abrupt end, and for a moment, there were only the sounds of our heavy breathing in the dimly lit car. Sorry, I couldn't hold back. Now we were in an awkward situation where both of us were feeling uncomfortable. I rubbed against him. Keep going. It counts as my offer. I had indulged him enough. One more time wouldn't matter much, right? My consciousness soon sank into the surging pleasure. 8. Another month passed. And you see, I had gotten used to the reward and evaluation mechanism between us. Occasionally, when I forgot to give him the money, he would even remind me actively. It was really cute. A person who manipulated tens of billions of assets every second would haggle over my few hundred yuan. He also secretly calculated it once a day, as if it were some kind of countdown ceremony. I couldn't help but want to fast forward and see what he would look like when I proposed to him. Would he cry? I had never seen UCI shed tears. He didn't cry when he was stabbed through the chest. Nor did he cry when he saw the photos of his parents in the filthy gutter. He was as tense as a kite, on the verge of falling. My heart seemed to be tugged at by the kite string, and a trace of pain welled up. But when I sank into my thoughts and felt it carefully, it seemed to be just my illusion. I couldn't get to the point. After 4 consecutive hours of meetings, my shoulders and neck ached so much that I couldn't move. My assistant arranged a physiotherapy session. After the whole session, I got home much later than usual. I was leaning against the sofa, wearing home clothes and focusing intently on the computer. Hearing the sound of the door opening, he closed the screen and stood up. "Do you want some supper? I've cooked some soup." The warm light in the room softened even his sharp-side profile. I stared at him in a daze and, somehow, asked, "Aren't you going to ask me why I'm home late?" He turned his head towards me while stirring the soup spoon. "You sent me a message about it." I did send a message, but I only said that I was delayed by something and didn't mention what I was doing. I suppressed the strange feeling in my chest, nodded, and said, "I'll take a shower first. It won't take long." Afraid that the soup would get cold, I started unbuttoning my shirt as I spoke, but halfway through, I suddenly stopped. The old master's hands were quite strong, and there were little red marks on my shoulders and the base of my neck, which were particularly noticeable on my fair skin. My scalp tightened, and I instinctively looked at UCI. He had obviously seen them too. There was no expression on his face. He just stared at my shoulders and then slowly moved his gaze to my face. My neck was uncomfortable, so I went for a massage. I stammered an explanation. It's hard to describe, but when I saw his reaction, I actually felt a sense of relief and, vaguely, some anticipation. I was expecting him to. "Is it better now? Do you need me to help you take a shower?" UCI stood still, and I slowly lowered my hand, feeling at a loss for the first time. "Much better, no need," I heard myself reply. After taking a shower, UCI was already waiting for me with a hairdryer. I sat down and drank the warm soup while he dried my hair. The whole world was filled with the sound of the hairdryer and my swallowing, but for no reason. I felt it was a bit too quiet. Why wasn't he talking? Why wasn't he questioning me? Clearly, we were becoming more and more like a normal couple, but now I was a bit confused about what a normal couple should be like. UCI turned off the hairdryer and placed his hands on my shoulders. With a moderate amount of pressure, I put down the soup bowl, turned around, and directly sat on his lap. "Shall we do it?" It's been a long time since we did it on the sofa, to be precise. UCI hadn't taken the initiative for a long time. Every time, I would wriggle my way to his side and, with a thick face, get under the covers. He was only most enthusiastic about receiving money. UC's Adam's apple twitched, and he shook his head. "Your neck is uncomfortable. Let's forget it today." "What does my neck being uncomfortable have to do with my butt?" I straightened up and started pulling down my pajama pants. "If you're tired, just lie down. I can do it myself." My hand was pressed down with an irresistible force. Chendai, I still have some work to deal with. An indescribable emotion surged through my body. I stared at the man beneath me and said in a cold and firm tone, "UCI, at this time, the A-share market is closed, and the U.S. stock market hasn't opened yet. What work do you have to do?" UCI helped me put my pajama pants back on, leaned in, and kissed me. "I do have some work. Let's do it tomorrow." His lips were soft, and my heart softened too. "Kiss me again." UCI held my face and gave me a serious and deep kiss. "You go to sleep first." Most of my resentment disappeared immediately. "Okay, then you should go to bed early too." But he didn't come to the room all night. He quietly lifted the quilt beside me just before dawn, created some wrinkles, and then turned around and went into the kitchen. I opened my eyes, didn't expose his little deception, stared silently at his back as he made breakfast, and pressed the screen to send a message to my secretary. 9. My family has focused on the real industry for several generations and has rarely dabbled in finance. After paying a little attention, I found that it has indeed been quite turbulent recently. UCI holds a large number of shares, and it's difficult for such a huge ship to turn flexibly in the turbulent and narrow strait. So, was UC's abnormality due to too much work pressure? I can't remember such a thing happening in my previous life at all. UCI knew my whereabouts like the back of his hand, but he rarely talked about his own work. He always reported the good news and not the bad, leaving aside those extreme and excessive coercive means. In a sense, he was more like a qualified partner than I was. The driver turned in the direction at the farthest point of the view visible from home and drove onto another road, finally stopping downstairs at the fund company where UCI worked. I don't understand anything about it, and I don't know if I can share his worries, but even a little bit would be good, even if I can only help a little bit. It would be worth it. In this precious second life, I hope we can both feel more at ease and that we can be together for a longer time. UCI has resigned. Didn't he tell you? The person in charge who received me looked extremely worried, to avoid causing panic among our entrusted clients. The news hasn't been disclosed yet, but the handover has been almost completed in the past 2 days. My ears were buzzing, and I couldn't hear anything. My secretary quickly reached out and supported me, preventing me from falling due to weak legs. Why was this happening? Why did he resign all of a sudden, in my previous life? This didn't happen in my previous life. A ridiculous and terrifying thought popped into my mind. Could it be that, I was also reborn? It's hard not to associate it with his recent strangeness. He exuded an air of indifference, as if he didn't care about anything. My mind went blank all of a sudden, just like that day. He was wearing a white shirt, sitting quietly at home waiting for me. After I left, he wordlessly jumped down from the window. My fingertips couldn't stop trembling. And I couldn't type a complete sentence no matter how hard I tried. I desperately adjusted my breathing and finally grabbed the driver's arm with a trembling hand. Hurry home. I stumbled up the stairs. I entered the password several times but it was incorrect. I took a deep breath, blinked away the tears in my eyes, held my right wrist tightly with my left hand, and pressed the numbers one by one. Halfway through, the door opened. The warm light from the living room spilled over me. And I stood there, not daring to move. I was standing barefoot in the hallway. He had probably been woken up by the continuous error messages of the password while taking a nap, and his eyes were still a bit hazy. When his gaze fell on my undisguised panic, he finally woke up completely, and his expression immediately became tense. What happened? I just stood there in a daze. He quickly glanced outside the door. There was no one else. He checked me thoroughly, front and back. I wasn't injured. Then he carefully supported my shoulders. What on earth is going on? My throat was choked up. I bit my lower lip to suppress the sobs, but I couldn't suppress the grievances that I had deliberately avoided for years. I was scalded by cigarette ash. 10. I was stunned for a moment, and his tense expression relaxed a little. Where were you scalded? He didn't notice that several tufts of his hair were sticking up after sleeping. He carefully examined my hands. When he couldn't find any marks, he squatted down. There were no marks on my suit pants either. There definitely wouldn't be any on my arms, but when I pointed at my fair and smooth skin and made up a story, saying it was here, I didn't ask a single question. He just squatted there, held my hand, and kissed my forearm. Does it still hurt? I shook my head blankly and then nodded blankly. Somehow, I blurted out, did it hurt you at that time? He looked up. At what time? Those people who kidnapped me, when we were running away. Chandai, suddenly interrupted me, and his fingers tightened. Don't mention the past anymore. I wanted to say something more, but he had already stood up, bent down, and picked me up. You look really pale. Stay home and rest today. He put me on the bed and was about to leave when I immediately reached out and grabbed him. I'm going to pour a glass of hot water. I'll be back soon. I held on tightly and wouldn't let go. In a stalemate, I let out a barely audible sigh, lifted the quilt, and lay down beside me. He gently patted my back. Did you have a nightmare on the way here? It wasn't a nightmare, it was our real previous life. Actually, I never really wanted to break up with you. The movement on my back stopped, but I didn't notice it. The fear of losing completely overwhelmed my mind. I tightly grabbed the corner of his clothes. Even though I knew he wasn't reborn and that he knew nothing, I still couldn't control myself from continuing to speak. Really, I just wanted you to be a bit more restrained because sometimes you were really going too far. But how could you be so heartless? Everyone was congratulating me, saying that I was finally free. Only I knew, I was trapped forever. My waist was tightly wrapped around, and I was pulled into his embrace. I know you didn't want to break up with me, and I know. Our chests were pressed together, and Yusi's voice vibrated, making my scalp tingle. You were trapped. The UCI in front of me clearly couldn't know what I was talking about. I looked up alertly, broke free from his embrace, and pressed him down beneath me with both hands. What are you talking about? UCI, why did you resign? UCI avoided my gaze and answered irrelevantly. How much can you give me for this performance? I was stunned. It took me a long time to realize what he was talking about. What? Don't put the cart before the horse. Aren't you short of this little money? I'm short of the 2 million yuan you promised to give me. Something was wrong. I slowly widened my eyes, feeling as if I had fallen into an ice lake and couldn't stop falling. A cold suspicion gradually emerged. Our expectations for the chips were completely different. I was waiting for him to ask me to be with him forever. And then I would take out the ring I had already prepared and propose to him in return, but he was planning something else, something I absolutely didn't want to see happen. Clearly, our initial goals were the same. When did it start to change? No, I'm going to deduct some. I'm very angry that you resigned without asking me, I said. As I spoke, I picked up the phone he had placed on the bedside table, smoothly entered the top chat window, and my fingertips hovered over the screen. Unable to move any further, I clearly saw that 4 words were added after my note, the last 30,000 yuan. It felt as if all the blood in my body had frozen. Stop making trouble. He snatched the phone away, and my palm suddenly felt empty. My heart felt empty too. I couldn't deceive myself. The meaning was already very clear with his attitude like this. He didn't want to be with me anymore. He wanted to use the chips to exchange for a way to leave. 11. Our confrontation was interrupted by a phone call. It was from my family, asking me to go back for a family dinner. Bring him too, my father added at the end. I looked at UCI. He had already stood up and was changing his clothes. Do you want to go? My family had always opposed my relationship with UCI. It was really unexpected that he was suddenly mentioned. What was even more unexpected was UC's attitude. He nodded and said, yes, I'll go. He had always resisted going to my home for all these years and even refused to talk about it, because he would remember the time when his family was destroyed at the age of 18. My father's methods of competing for the right of inheritance were quite dirty. After taking office, he removed potential threats, made drastic changes, and offended many people. Those people couldn't touch him, so they kidnapped me instead. It was a kidnapping aimed at revenge and they had no intention of letting me live. I was left in an abandoned factory for 3 days and was accidentally discovered by a couple who collected waste. They had been simple and honest all their lives and couldn't imagine all the complicated schemes. They thought I had strayed into their out of playfulness and called their only son to send me, who was too weak to speak, to the hospital. UCI at the age of 18 was thin, tall, and as tough as a bamboo. I lay on his back and fell asleep peacefully. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital suite. My father scolded me for being troublesome and causing him so much trouble. Later, his tone softened. That family doesn't have many relatives. If the kid can be saved, bring him to our home and arrange a job for him in the future. If he can't be saved, it's all fate. UCI tenaciously survived. Transferred to the noble school where I was, and went to the same university as me. Many people said that when we were together, UCI was more like a young master. He always had an indifferent and nonchalant look, while I was always running around him. Only I knew that he had always been holding back a lot of pent-up emotions but had nowhere to release them. The villains had received their due punishment. The living people, although deeply guilty, were also so innocent. After accidentally discovering that he liked men, I finally found a breakthrough. I tried all kinds of ways to seduce him every day, but he remained unmoved. On my 19th birthday, I left the lively party behind and secretly slipped into his small room, taking off all my clothes. Those people who kidnapped me and killed your parents have all gone to hell. UCI, I can go to hell too, but before going to hell, can you allow me to stay in the world and love you the most, only love you? I belong only to you, and you can use me as you like. After all, I share the same blood as my father. Being able to speak of my despicable desires so grandiosely, after that night, I almost crawled into his bed every night. We became more and more in tune, more and more unrestrained. It wasn't a surprise when we were discovered, but in the face of my father's overwhelming anger, I instinctively backed down and hung my head in silence. You see, I was silent for a long time. When I was about to be punished by the family rules, he spoke up. I forced him to do it. He said, great kindness can be like a great enmity. Clearly, he saved my life, but my father started to resent his existence. It had been 9 years since he left the Chen family until he set foot in it again. 12. The atmosphere at the family dinner was stagnant. When it ended, I was pestered by my father's second wife for a chat. She was really bad at pretending. And her purpose of wanting her son to take advantage was so obvious that I didn't even bother to expose it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw UCI go upstairs. My heart tightened, and I immediately stood up. The people on both sides tried to stop me again, but I didn't care about maintaining any false dignity. I coldly pushed them away. The soft curses and sarcasm were left behind me, and all I could think about was UCI. Why did UCI take the initiative to go upstairs? The door of the study was slightly ajar. I calmed my breathing and raised my hand. You're really good at hiding your true abilities. My movement froze in midair. Through the crack in the door, a stack of papers was thrown onto the desk with a snap. UCI stood beside the desk and just glanced down at it. Your parents were really clever. They did this just before they died of illness. which actually brought you to the forefront, my father said, in the face of my father's overwhelming hatred. You see, I just said calmly, they never thought that much. Fine, let's not talk about them, my father sneered. Let's talk about you, you ungrateful wretch. Xiao Dai has a soft heart. You've been binding him with a sense of guilt for all these years. You forced him to act shamelessly in public. Do you know how many people are laughing at him? How many more decades do you want to waste of his life? What nonsense, what on earth was he talking about? The door creaked open when my father saw me. His face darkened, and he slapped the table hard, just in time. Get in here and take a look. He was referring to the medical records of UC's parents, with a rather pessimistic outcome, perhaps due to lack of money. They didn't receive treatment, so what? What does this prove? The fact that they saved me can never be covered up. As for you, you're the one to blame, shifting blame one after another. Aren't you just trying to ease your conscience? No, you don't have a conscience at all. I sneered, imitating his tone. Also, there was never any forcing. I took the initiative from the beginning. I was the one who begged UCI to have sex with me, sticking my ass out. Shut up, have you no shame? He roared and interrupted me, his eyes bloodshot and red. You're bewitched. His palm was raised high and came straight down with a gust of wind, but it didn't land on my face. UCI grabbed my father's wrist and said calmly, let me talk to Chen Dai alone for a few words. As bold as I was in front of my father, I was that flustered at this moment. I didn't dare to listen. No, I tightly grasped the hem of his clothes. Let's go home first. Can we go home? UCI pried my fingers off one by one, his expression calm as he clicked on his phone. There was the sound of a transfer notification. My whole body trembled uncontrollably, and my vision went dark in waves. Don't say. UCI looked up at me and smiled for the first time in these days. His eyelashes were wet, but there was a sense of relief in his eyes that made me despair. Chen Dai, let's call it quits. Never see each other again. You're free. 13. UCI disappeared. Once again, everyone came to congratulate me, saying that I had finally gotten rid of that ungrateful wretch who took advantage of his kindness. Terrible. If such a person develops further, he'll definitely be violent at home. I wanted to say something when he disrupted the blind date. But my family's assets were in his hands, and I was afraid of being retaliated against by him. He's probably already been violent at home. I met Chen Dai at several banquets, and his wrists were red, as if they had been tied. That's probably why he often wears high-collared clothes. So, we shouldn't have let such a low-class person rise in the first place. It would have been better to send him away with some money. The Chen family is still too soft-hearted. Phew, fortunately. He's completely out, although he's quite capable. I really wouldn't feel at ease entrusting the family business to him. We owe this to young Master Su. Amid the buzzing and chaotic voices like flies, I heard the name of my childhood friend. I looked up and stared straight at him. He dodged my gaze for a moment, then said nonchalantly, hey, I didn't know before. If I had known that Xiao Dai was living like this, I would have intervened earlier. I coldly twitched the corner of my mouth. What kind of intervention do I need from you? He was stunned for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, I interrupted him. And you all? What's going on between me and UCI has nothing to do with you, right? Everyone looked at each other, and their tone took on a bit of resentment. Aren't we doing this for your own good? We've been friends since childhood. We can't just watch you be pooed by someone like him for a lifetime, can we? Someone like him. I leaned back and stared at the drip of the 4 bottle, sneering. Isn't it jealousy? The person who came out of nowhere easily stepped on those who received elite education since childhood. You must have been scolded a lot usually, right? The resentment immediately escalated into accusations of being ungrateful. I just felt it was noisy. Why did everyone think I was being forced? My indulgence had always been my own willing choice. The question I couldn't figure out over a cigarette at that time had long been understood in the long years that followed. The reason for my indulgence was simple. Because I loved him, I loved UCI, so I was willing. But I was never a person good at expressing myself. Things that I couldn't even figure out myself probably couldn't be conveyed well to the other party either. In this life, I had tried my best to make my love tangible, but still, it backfired. But at least, he was still alive. I clenched my palm. The indwelling needle on the back of my hand pricked the blood vessel, and it hurt a bit. I got sick because of him. He had to be responsible for me. 14. UC's perspective. I've always been unable to tell what feelings Chen Dai has for me. He said he loved me, but when I actually pinned him down, he secretly buried his face in the pillow and cried. He said he hated me. After that, he blushed and consciously picked up the shackles to make it easier for me to come and go. Our relationship started with his words, please hold me, and ended with the freedom I gave him. 10 years of entanglement was enough. He probably didn't even notice that he would occasionally show a faint sense of tiredness. He would quickly hide it again and continue to curse while catering to me. He was clearly already tired but was still struggling to hold on. I didn't understand what made him persist. When I accidentally discovered that he had someone renovate my parents' graves, I found the answer. It was guilt, even though I had deliberately avoided it over the years and didn't even let him see the scar. But the fact that my parents died in revenge and the knife wound I got while standing in front of him still became a gap in his heart that he could never cross. After a long stalemate, when I saw him secretly going on a blind date, I felt relieved. He had finally figured it out, but I had to keep up the act, playing a paranoid and crazy debt collector who pestered him like a ghost. When Chendai was carried home by me, he was really shaking with anger and said he never wanted to see me again without thinking. I still retorted viciously, but my heart was so sour that it swelled. So good, you're leaving. But in the blink of an eye when I lowered my head to fasten a chain, he changed. He looked at me in a condescending and provocative way, but his eyes betrayed him. They were shaking like a wet butterfly. Something was different. He no longer catered me meekly but hugged me tightly and responded extremely passionately, so passionately that I lost all my senses. When I felt him touching the scar on my back, I didn't even have time to stop him. I just wanted to nail him to the bed. I liked the reward and evaluation mechanism he proposed. It gave me hope for our relationship. I could keep track of all his movements. I knew he had customized a ring and was preparing to propose. He wanted to spend his life with me. On one hand, I pretended not to know and cooperated. On the other hand, I had some secret expectations. Until that alumni reunion, he felt indebted to me. He wanted to make up for me for a lifetime. I should have known earlier. What was I hoping? Did I really expect him to love me? He was already very tired. Many times in his nightmares, he would grab me and unconsciously shed tears and whimper, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry," over and over again. He had nothing to be sorry for me. I couldn't bind him with guilt and shame. I went to a small town and became an ordinary trader in a securities company. Life was as plain as water. This was the kind of life I should have lived. The mistake that started at the age of 18 had finally ended, and my life was back on track. But one night, I had a very strange dream. Everyone says you can't see your own face in a dream, but in that dream, I clearly saw it. It was a complete mess. He didn't speak, but the voice came to my ears from all directions. You know, after becoming a ghost, you can't protect him anymore. You can only watch helplessly as he falls into a pool of blood and can do nothing. He has never loved anyone else. He only loves you. That bright red was too dazzling. I didn't dare not to believe it. I deliberately released a little news. The next day after work, I saw Chendai in my small rental room. He was leaning against my bedside, with a cigarette burning between his fingertips. "I'm sick," he said. He looked quite healthy, but I was still a bit nervous and walked over to pinch his arm. "What's wrong?" The next second, I was pressed onto the bed. There was a cold touch on my wrist. It was a thin gold chain, and the other end was cuffed to the bedside. He leaned down, and the hot cigarette ash fell beside my ear. "You see, A cold and hard ring was forcefully put on my ring finger, fitting perfectly. It wasn't the 2 million yuan one. This one was very simple, a Mobius strip, the same as the one he was wearing. "You can't escape. I want you to stay by my side forever." Story 2. I was reborn on the day I confessed to my childhood friend. Amidst the cheering crowd, he looked at me with my eyes red from crying and coldly asked, "Lin Yueya, do you find it amusing to seek attention like this?" Then he turned gently towards the girl next to him. "Just wait for me a moment. I'll come to find you after dealing with this." He impatiently lectured me. "Why do you cry so much? Shouldn't you spend more time reading books instead of daydreaming about love and romance?" I was so annoyed. I pushed him away and threw myself into the arms of the school bully who was watching the commotion from behind him. "Honey," I held the person in my arms, crying uncontrollably. Chi Chen, at 18, was still alive. Everything was still possible. 01, before Chi Chen died. He made me promise to live to 100 before joining him. I agreed, then immediately broke that promise. I ended up dying 3 days later. Before closing my eyes, I made up an excuse for myself. When I saw him, I would say I dreamed of him flirting with other female ghosts. The truth is, I didn't dream at all. Without him, I couldn't even sleep. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at 18, holding flowers, surrounded by a chorus of cheers. "Confess, confess." The crowd was overwhelming, but my eyes instantly found that conspicuous blonde hair. He stood in an unnoticed corner, his gaze casually yet deliberately sweeping over me. I looked at him, and tears instantly started flowing uncontrollably. Just as I was about to speak, Xing Yi's voice intervened. "Lin Yueya, Do you find it amusing to seek attention like this? In a daze, I only then noticed the person in front of me. His brows were slightly furrowed, his expression cold. The lively atmosphere paused for a moment, until Su Xing broke the awkward silence. Shani, we need to confirm your award speech. Shani turned his head towards her. Just wait for me a moment. I'll come to find you after dealing with this. His tone unusually gentle. Su Xing, like Shani, was a top student. People joked that the two scholars were a match made in heaven. Su Xing, however, disdainfully retorted, I'm not one of those girls who only think about love. At that moment, Xing Yi's look towards her held rare admiration. He had once told me the same thing, that he didn't like girls whose heads were filled only with thoughts of love, but back then, my mind was filled only with him. Even foolishly imagining that confessing to him on my birthday wouldn't embarrass me. Later I realized, he hated being morally blackmailed by me. Just like this moment, he took the flowers from my hands, clearly impatient. Shouldn't you spend more time reading books instead of daydreaming about love and romance? 02. I was stunned. Whispers arose from the crowd. Look, Lin Yueya is crying. She's been fawning over Shani for so many years, and now she's become a laughingstock. Ah. I feel embarrassed for her. In my previous life, indeed, I had cried embarrassingly, but at this moment, all I saw was the blonde in the corner. I stared straight at him, my mouth opening slightly, trembling, unable to speak. Tears just kept flowing. Seeing me like this, Shani frowned and sighed. Lin Yueya, why do you cry so much? I was so annoyed. He kept talking, blocking my view. I pushed Shani away forcefully and dashed, throwing myself onto the person I had regained. Husband. You're still alive, that's wonderful. Sob, the warmth of his chest, that familiar scent of sunlight. I held him, crying uncontrollably. The person in my arms stiffened. It's not sister, you've got the wrong person. My face turned red up to my ears. Lin Yueya, who are you calling husband? Xing Yi's voice came from behind, tinged with anger. How many times are you going to use the same trick? Indeed, in my past life, I used to get close to other guys just to make Shani jealous. He would get angry, but he would also console me casually. However, this time, the person involved was a small-time delinquent he despised the most. Holding Qi Chen, my crying grew more intense. Sob. Husband, you really are still alive. I couldn't believe it, my hands fumbling under his clothes, frantically checking for the fatal wound he had in his previous life. Qi Chen was quite startled by my actions. What the hell are you doing? I choked up. Take off your clothes, let me see. His face instantly turned red. I'm a decent person. My crying worsened. Sob. Husband, I need to see. Please let me see. His hands hung awkwardly. Finally, in a low voice, he relented. Shoo, wait. Let's wait until there's no one around. Okay. Watching this scene, Shani looked disgusted. Lin Yueya, don't you feel embarrassed doing this in public? This time, I'm not going to console you. He turned and walked away. The crowd also dispersed unhappily. Miss, the show's over. Aren't you going to let go? The voice above me carried a hint of mockery. I just shook my head, continuing to sob as I clung to his neck. I won't let go. Not in this lifetime. 18-year-old Lin Yueya had no broken legs, no depression. 18-year-old Qi Chen hadn't yet taken a knife for her. There was still time. Qi Chen, in disbelief, threatened me. Can I go then? He carried me out of the classroom. Just as we exited, the voice of the disciplinary director reached us. Hey, Qi Chen. Aren't you supposed to be training instead of fooling around with a female classmate? I still clung to him tightly. Seeing my indifference, Qi Chen blushed and explained. Report to the teacher. The female student has broken her leg. I'm taking her to the infirmary. The director's tone softened somewhat. You lad, you're quite compassionate. Suddenly, I remembered, Qi Chen in the past was just like this, carrying me around the world to see legs, accompanying me during rehabilitation training. Once everyone had left, he looked at me, somewhat exasperated. Seriously, Miss Lin, what are you playing at? I held onto his neck and wouldn't let go. Husband, he felt his scalp tingle, biting his teeth. Don't call me husband. Who's your husband? You are, my dear husband. I pouted, feeling wronged. I love my dear husband the most. His head was about to explode. He sternly reminded me, Miss, do you remember who threw away my love letter yesterday? I felt awkward. The timing was really off. Qi Chen had confessed his feelings to me, but I had ruthlessly trampled his love letter underfoot. I hate guys like you the most, physically strong but simple-minded athletes. Speaking of which, I was also a dancer, physically flexible but simple-minded. Actually, I didn't really hate Qi Chen. It was because Shani disliked him that I followed suit. He hated all fools, especially someone like Qi Chen who performed poorly in academics and was domineering at school. I blinked. She explained with a face full of sincerity, Actually, yesterday was a test for you, and she promised, honey, from now on, I'll only love you. Chi-Chen's mouth twitched slightly. Could you not call me honey? I shook my head. No, I can't. He clenched his teeth and resigned himself to fate. Fine, call me whatever you want. As he looked at me clinging to him like a koala, he sighed. But Lin Yueya, you're a person, not a monkey. Can you get off me? But I want to hug you a little longer. Honey, he swallowed hard, his ears turned red. 18-year-old Chi-Chen was really adorably fierce. 05. Chi-Chen then carried me to his uncle's house. The old man was known in the neighborhood for his spiritual dealings, always mumbling about something daily. Uncle, she seems to be possessed. His uncle, stroking his beard, glanced at me. Ah, her eyes are bloodshot, definitely touched by something. Saying so, he pulled out a yellow talisman. Place this talisman on her body to ward off evil spirits. Chi-Chen set me outside the house and instructed me, wait here for me, don't follow, I'll be right back. I didn't listen to him, I stealthily followed to the door. I only heard him quietly ask, Uncle, is there a talisman that can make her stay bewitched forever? I was secretly thrilled. Little guy, you've already fallen head over heels for me, smashing headfirst into walls for me. Chi-Chen, this lifetime, it's my turn to run towards you. 06. I lived with the Shin family. Our families were old friends and had arranged a marriage alliance since we were young. When I was 10, my parents died in an accident, and Shin tightly held my hand. Xiaoyi, you still have me. I'll always be by your side. I moved into the Shin household, and his parents treated me very well. As a child, I practiced dance, and his mother hired the best teachers for me. The wardrobe was full of beautiful clothes bought by Aunt Shin, but no matter how good, I was not their child. They initially saw me as their future daughter-in-law. After my leg was broken and I couldn't walk properly, they felt such a daughter-in-law wouldn't be presentable, and told me, Xiaoyi, we've always cherished you as our own daughter, and Xiaoyi sees you as his sister. Don't worry, we'll find a good husband for you. At the dinner table, Mr. and Mrs. Shin served me food, asking about my studies, remembering what they said in my past life. It all seemed somewhat laughable. I put down my chopsticks. Uncle, Auntie, I want to move into the school dormitory. It will help me focus on my studies more. And you know my academic performance isn't that good. They were somewhat surprised. How can you stay in such a poor dorm environment? Xiaoyi, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Xiaoyi is good at studies. Let him tutor you. I calmly shook my head. No, he's busy with competitions. I don't want to disturb him. Aunt Shin seemed to sense something. Did you two have a fight? Shani remained silent. I just smiled. No, he treats me very well. And I've always regarded Shani as my own brother. In the future, he will surely find a daughter-in-law as outstanding as himself for you both. Shani paused, looking at me. He glanced at me. I wasn't feeling hungry, so I went to the bedroom. However, lying in bed, the familiar sensation of insomnia struck me as it had in the past. Back then, my depression was severe, and I relied on sleeping pills to sleep each night. It wasn't until I got together with Chi-Chen that I began to heal slowly. People with insomnia are always anxious and irritable. I decided to get up and went to the living room to pour myself a glass of water. Unexpectedly, I ran into Shani. Have something to eat. You barely touched your dinner, he said. He was holding a bowl of chicken soup dumplings, my favorite, and placed it in front of me. Are you still angry about what happened earlier today? He asked, squatting in front of me and sighing helplessly. I'm just upset that you're in your senior year and not focusing on your studies. Seeing that I remained silent, he gently rubbed my head. Come on, don't be mad, okay, he said with a helpless chuckle. Silly girl, that's always his way, offering gentle words after I've been wronged. I always end up forgiving him, lying to myself that he cares for me because he does seemingly thoughtful little things for me. Ignoring him, he stroked my hair again, his tone indulgent. Do you think our kids will be as silly as you? He teased, a line he had used in our past life. Back then, I was deeply moved, thinking he had envisioned a future with me. Little did I know, it was just a comment made by a teacher after he and Su Xing won a prize, saying, if these two ever got together, their children would be so intelligent. He wasn't thinking of marrying and having children with me. He was worried that being with me might affect the intelligence of his future offspring. I forced a smile and looked at him. Don't worry, we won't be having children. Shani exhaled and frowned. Lin Yueya, I'm busy too. I don't have time to cater to your whims. I smiled calmly. Not anymore. Shani stopped trying to comfort me and went back to his room, with dark circles under my eyes. I went to Chi-Chen's place. His parents had divorced, and he lived alone in a house near the school. As soon as he opened the door, I rushed into his arms, familiar with the place. Honey, I want to sleep with you. You, what? He was shocked, his hands in the air, unsure what to do. No, Lin Yueya, I seriously don't offer that kind of service. I can't sleep without you. I clung to him tightly, my voice filled with sobs and exhaustion. Honey, I really need to sleep. He cursed under his breath, muttering, sleep, sleep, sleep. I managed to get into his bedroom. Just as I lay down on his bed, he grabbed a pillow and ran towards the living room. I quickly grabbed his hand. Where are you going? To sleep on the couch? No, let's sleep together. I held on to his hand desperately. I can't sleep without you by my side. Honey, in my past life, Chi-Chen was like my safe harbor. Having him by my side always gives me a sense of comfort and security when I sleep. I was crying and clutching onto him, refusing to let go. He was frustrated and just lay stiffly on the bed. Fine, let's sleep then. It's not me who's losing out anyway, let me tell you. A scoundrel like me can do anything, he said fiercely, yet, he blushed, turned his head away, and kept his distance from me. I happily moved closer and hugged him from behind. My hands instinctively started wandering down. He grabbed the blanket and sat up in alarm. Lin Yueya, where are you touching? I replied with a pitiful look. Holding it gives me a sense of security. Sure you feel secure, but what about me? He protected himself tightly, like a man of staunch virtue. Sometimes I really feel like calling the police on myself. You know you love it when I hug you to sleep naked. He was incredulous. What? When did I ever enjoy sleeping naked? After we got together, after we got married, Chi-Chen fell in love with sleeping naked and even insisted I join him. He claimed it was more comfortable to have skin-to-skin contact. Though unspoken, it really was comfortable. Chi-Chen stared at me, full of confusion. Lin Yueya, are you possessed by a demon that needs to absorb a man's yang energy to survive? Then would you let me absorb it? His face instantly turned bright red as he sternly refused me. Don't even think about it. I'll have you know, I was a good student, and I certainly didn't engage in puppy love, but I really can't sleep without holding you. I pouted. Honey, a struggle flashed in his eyes. Well, just holding, nothing else. Is that okay? He was exasperated yet helpless. Fine. I'm begging you. I was 25 when I got together with Chi-Chen. Who would have known that the flirtatious and frivolous Chi-Chen was so innocent at 18? He was utterly lovable at that age, pure yet capable, every wealthy woman's dream. It's hard to resist. Can I just take a look? Then, 18 years old, such tender and pinkish age. Harder than a diamond. What are you looking at? He looked like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, his ears red and his eyes panicked. Lin Yueya, are you still a girl? Ah, he doesn't understand. At 28, I'm at an age as fierce as a tiger. I bit my lip in a pretend sulk. Honey, even if you called me daddy, it wouldn't help. He wrapped me tightly in a blanket, pinning me from the outside. Go to sleep, and from now on, don't call me honey. I nodded. Okay, honey. He sighed. No. I mean, okay Chi-Chen, the familiar scent, the familiar heartbeat. My baby is back. Looking at the 18-year-old him, I softly began. Chi-Chen, I'm not possessed. Actually, I come from 10 years in the future. I am the 28-year-old Lin Yueya. Heh, why don't you say you're a fairy descended from heaven? Really, I truly come from 10 years in the future. He nodded dismissively. Alright. You say you're from Mars, and I'd believe that too. You don't believe me, huh? I looked down at him briefly. You have a mole there. He shuddered violently, his face full of shock. Holy shit, Lin Yueya, when did you sneak a peek? I replied, 7 years later. He paused to process this. So you really traveled here from 10 years in the future. Unable to curb his curiosity, he asked again, so, did I win the world championship in 10 years? Of course. You won the world championship at 22 and achieved a grand slam at 25. No one in the world could outswim you. Holy shit, am I that awesome? He was a bit excited and asked further, what about you then? Did you become a famous dancer? I lowered my head slightly. Of course. Did we get married? His voice carried a hint of caution and nervousness. Yes, we've been together since high school graduation. You proposed to me in front of the whole world after winning the world championship at 22. His eyes brightened as he asked, do we have children? I nodded with a smile. Yes. After each of us reached the pinnacle in our fields, you retired at 28, and I gradually shifted my focus from the stage to lecturing. That year, we had our child. I struggled to suppress the sourness in my nose. The year he won the world championship, he never proposed to me. I lived my life in a daze, making a mess of it. At 25, Lin Yueya was pulled from the abyss by Chi-Chen, but she dragged him into darkness. Fortunately, at 18, there was still time for everything. I woke up feeling refreshed. Chi-Chen had gone to train early. He had been practicing swimming since he was 7 or 8 years old, maintaining a daily regimen for over a decade, each day pushing his body to the limit. The hardship was incomparable to any academic endeavor. When I arrived at the classroom, I ran into the class teacher. Good, Yuaya, you're here. The graduation gala is coming up soon. How's the rehearsal going? I was startled, a bit slow to respond. My classmate quickly answered for me. Teacher, Yuaya dances superbly, and the rehearsal effects she's created are fantastic. With Xinyi's piano solo added in, it will surely be stunning. Our class will definitely win. Good, then make sure to practice well. I then remembered that the graduation gala was approaching. All the girls in the class were preparing a group dance. The teacher had given a rare moment of relaxation. Everyone was practicing in the dance studio. The plan was for all the girls to perform a classical dance, with Xinyi accompanying on piano and vocals on the side. Xinyi had always been excellent at piano, and his tone was lovely too. I really wanted our group to earn this honor, and after much pleading, he agreed, but at that moment, in the rehearsal room, Su Xing arrived late. A classmate couldn't help but mock. Su, the great scholar, always making everyone wait for you. Can't you be a bit more mindful of the group? Su Xing remained composed. Sorry, the principal just called me to have Xinyi and me speak as outstanding representatives at the gala. Her voice was neither high nor low, yet it carried an air of superiority. Someone muttered under their breath, showing off. What for? As Su Xing joined the group, I continued the rehearsal. Alright, let's review yesterday's moves, then go through it all with Xinyi. Everyone danced well, except Su Xing, who again missed the rhythm. Complaints grew louder. Hey, Su Xing, what's going on? You didn't master the moves yesterday. You said you'd practice at home. How come you still can't keep up today? Right, can you not hold us back? Aren't you quick at learning everything? How can you not get this simple move? The comments flew back and forth. Su Xing's face flashed with annoyance, and she retorted coldly, why should a minor graduation event take up my study time? Before criticizing others, perhaps you should look at your own grades. How can you afford to waste your youth here? What's the point of this dance? Will it add points to your college entrance exam? I couldn't hold back my anger. Su Xing, it was you who arrived late and didn't practice properly. Why are you shifting the blame onto others? She laughed softly. Lin Yuaya, it was clearly you who wanted to stand out. Why drag others into being your foil? Someone couldn't stand it anymore. This is a collective honor. How did it become Yuaya trying to stand out? She's a dance student. Should she not lead the dance and let someone who can barely coordinate do it instead? At this, everyone burst into laughter. Su Xing's face turned slightly uncomfortable, and she disdainfully spat out. I can't be bothered to compete with you guys. It's utterly pointless. With that statement, she managed to irritate everyone. Speaking of which, Su Xing wasn't exactly popular in the class. She once coldly stated, I don't like hanging out with girls, they are too petty. And I'm not like them. She was indeed different from us. While everyone else was secretly reading frivolous romance novels, she would be engrossed in a collection of Tagore's poetry, all in English. When the teacher asked her to share her solution to a problem, she wrote a bunch of complex formulas and said, this is calculus, something you learn in university. Probably only Xinyi could understand it. Many girls in the class thought she was just showing off. But Xinyi thought of her as a kindred spirit. He even believed that I was leading the class in ostracizing and bullying Su Xing. Xinyi defended her, and she simply said, forget it, no point arguing with fools. That only made Xinyi admire her more. Some people said that Xinyi, a top student, liked girls who could match his intellect. They talked about intellectual love. In his eyes, I was just a simple-minded art student. I didn't care and clapped my hands. If that's the case, Su Xing, then you might as well not dance. Staring at her, I hooked up a mocking smile. After all, your dancing is really quite funny. That caused another burst of laughter. She was so angry she couldn't speak. Xinyi couldn't stand it anymore. Lin Yuaya, why do you have to speak so unpleasantly? Does it sound unpleasant? I scoffed coldly, but in a previous life, after I broke my leg, she spoke to me in that exact tone. Lin Yuaya, the way you walk is really quite funny. I was just mimicking her, and she didn't have a broken leg. Anger flashed through Xinyi's eyes. Are you all endlessly bullying Su Xing? He stood in front of Su Xing and declared, I'm telling you, if she quits, I quit too. Su Xing was moved to tears. Xinyi, I smiled indifferently. That's great. In a previous life, Su Xing didn't want me to stand out and deliberately fell at Xinyi's feet during a performance. Xinyi instinctively helped her. The accompanying music stopped abruptly. The whole show fell into an awkward silence. Everyone panicked and couldn't find the rhythm, resulting in a chaotic performance. But Xinyi's instinctive action to save Su Xing was praised. Both were top students and favorites of the teachers. The teacher said friendship first, competition second. Xingyi's action was the most worthy of emulation, and they even received a special award. During the award, Su Xing intentionally waved at me. Yueya, could you please take a photo for us? The whole audience gave them a warm round of applause. She and Shani smiled brilliantly, while the girls in the class felt so aggrieved they cried backstage. After Shani and Su Xing dropped out, everyone struggled without their singing. Yueya, if it's too hard, we might as well just play the background music, someone suggested helplessly. I waved my hand. Don't worry, someone can fill in. Back when I was severely depressed, Chi-Chen often held me in his arms and sang in my ear. His singing was truly captivating. After my leg healed, she encouraged me to return to dancing and step back onto the stage. As I danced, he would play the piano for me on the side. I immediately pulled out my phone and called him. Chi-Chen, our program needs you for a piano solo and to sing. He didn't even think about it. I can't do it. I played my trump card. Darling, darling, darling. Shut up, darling. Oh no, I meant, I'm on my way. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, seeing his reaction. He was almost like Pavlov's dog. Reluctantly and swiftly, Chi-Chen came. Shani and Su Xing couldn't believe it. How could Chi-Chen replace you in the performance? Shani scoffed disdainfully. What good music can a sports student play? In his eyes, whether arts or sports, students in these fields were considered underachievers. However, their skepticism didn't dampen our enthusiasm. When the evening event began, and the lights brightened, I led all the girls in a graceful dance, and the soothing piano tones coupled with his deep voice slowly filled the air. Everyone was astounded. Below the stage, there was thunderous applause and cheers. The girls in our class are stunningly beautiful, vocal queen Chi. What other surprises do you have that we don't know about? Sports rep, why bother swimming? Just debut as an artist. After the performance, Chi-Chen came over to me, slightly proud. Well, did I embarrass you? Looking at him, my eyes nearly sparkled with adoration. Darling, you were the best. He lifted his head proudly. Of course, our program was a tremendous success and unsurprisingly, we won first place. Chi-Chen and I went on stage to accept the award as representatives. The principal looked relieved. I had no idea our students were so talented. In the past, we always chose academically excellent students to represent us, but we aim for holistic development in morals, intelligence, physique, and aesthetics. I believe that in the future, our students will shine in various fields. Thus, Lin Yueya and Chi-Chen, you two as outstanding representatives, please make a speech. We were somewhat taken aback, scanning the audience. Su Xing clenched the prepared speech tightly, a look of resentment on his face. Xingyi's gaze fell on us, his expression complex. Standing on the stage, I took a deep breath. Hello everyone, I am Lin Yueya. My mother was an outstanding classical dancer, and under her influence, I started dancing at the age of 7. From the initial basic training, countless falls and rises, I have never once thought of giving up. Dancing has taught me not only grace but resilience and perseverance. And an undying pursuit of my dreams. My dream is to attend the Beijing Dance Academy and to win the Peach and Plum Cup. Chi-Chen then stepped forward, his tall figure especially imposing. Hello, I am Chi-Chen, a sports student who loves swimming. From the fear and despair of almost drowning at 8 years old to being as natural as a fish in the water at 18, the daily training has been a dual test of my body and will. Failure, pain, and doubt have not made me give up, because I have a dream. He paused, his gaze becoming exceptionally firm. My dream is to attend the Beijing Sport University and to be an Olympic champion. The applause from below was thunderous. At 18, those dreams of regret would finally be fulfilled. After receiving the award, the girls from our class swarmed around, taking photos with the trophy. Let's get someone to take a big group photo for us, someone suggested. I smiled and waved at Su Xing. Su Xing, could you take a photo for us? After all, you're the only one not in it. Su Xing, holding back his anger, lifted his phone. Chi-Chen strode up to Shani, handed him the phone with a smug smile. Class rep, could you take a photo of me and my wife? Shani took the phone with a stern face. Chi-Chen showed me the photo. Is it okay? Me? It's mediocre. Chi-Chen, unabashedly pleased. Then let's trouble the class rep again. My wife isn't quite satisfied. Finally, Shani couldn't hold back anymore and shouted at Chi-Chen. Chi-Chen, who do you think you are? He wrapped his arm around me, his smile exceptionally brilliant. Me, I'm Lin Yueya's husband. Xingyi's face turned ashen, his teeth clenched as he looked at him. You, a mere athlete and a delinquent, think you're worthy of Xiaoyi, an Olympic champion? That's a dreamer's talk. I stepped forward, looking at Xingyi. I scoffed. Chi-Chen, if I remember correctly, you ranked 25th in the province in the recent mock exam. Do you know Chi-Chen's recent competition results? Second in the province, fifth nationwide, you're the one who's failing, so what gives you the right to look down on others? I tugged at Chi-Chen's sleeve and turned to leave with him side by side. Send me the photo. I want it as my screensaver. Hold on, I need a beauty filter. How can you, a big man, be paler than me? That's from the bleaching powder in the swimming pool. After school, I was walking home with Shani, but he stopped me halfway. I was annoyed. What now? He explained. Aren't you preparing for the Beijing Dance Academy exam? Let's go home. I'll help you with your academic subjects. I don't need it. He used to help me with my studies and always got impatient. He couldn't understand why I couldn't grasp such simple questions. Every tutoring session was torture for him. It was my fault about the school event. I apologize. He lowered his tone, unusually gentle. Can you stop being mad? I chuckled. Shani, I've never been mad at you. I don't need you to worry about my studies. If you're that bored, go discuss poetry, songs, or philosophy of life with Su Xing. Xiaoyi, I don't like Su Xing. He hurriedly explained and promised me. I'll apply to universities in Beijing for the college entrance exam. And we'll be together after graduation, I promise. I frowned, piercing through his lie. But didn't you and Su Xing just apply to the same foreign universities? Xiaoyi, I was just trying it out. I didn't really plan to go abroad. I found it utterly laughable. In my past life, he also promised to go to Beijing with me. Until the day of my arts exam, Su Xing deliberately told me. Shani asked me where I wanted to go for university, and I said I wanted to study abroad. So he applied to the same school with me. He didn't tell you, did he? She stood there with her nose in the air, her face full of disdain. Lin Yueya, how long are you going to cling to him? He clearly doesn't like you. In the whole world, only Shani is worthy of me, and only I am worthy of him. That time, due to Su Xing's provocation, I failed to get into the school I longed for. When confronted by my questions, Shani casually explained that studying abroad had better advantages. And that he didn't like Su Xing. He acknowledged our relationship, granting me the status of his girlfriend. He told me to just wait a few years for him to graduate, and then we would get married. I believed him, but when he graduated, he said he needed to focus on his career first. He started a business with Su Xing, and they caught the industry's boom, their careers taking off rapidly. During those years, I danced in a dance troupe, neither particularly successful nor a failure. My teacher always said I had great potential, but my performances lacked emotion. Shani and Su Xing became the media's golden boy and golden girl, a perfect match in every way. The marriage he promised me was postponed again and again. As the college entrance exam was drawing near, I saw on the calendar, since Shani was going abroad soon, I wouldn't keep chasing after him. In Chi-Chen's small house, we two academic underachievers frantically memorized our textbooks. Who signed the Treaty of Shimonoseki? It wasn't me who signed it. I know it wasn't you. There is a fish in the North Ming and its name is Kuan. The Kuan is so big, too big to be stewed in one pot. Tired of studying, want something to eat. Sure, after a long night of hard work, the knowledge just wouldn't stick. The next morning, as Chi-Chen and I were leaving the house, we unexpectedly ran into Shani. His parents were with him. Their faces were stern, showing shock and anger. Shani was the first to confront me. Xiaoyi, you haven't been staying in the school dormitory at all. Have you been staying at his house these past few days? I didn't deny it. Yeah. Hearing this, his parents' faces changed dramatically. Xiaoyi, you're a decent girl. How can you shamelessly live with a hoodlum? We've always treated you like our own daughter, raised you like a little princess, and you've chosen to debase yourself by living with a thug. Get back home immediately. I stood there quietly, listening to their mocking words. Then I pulled a wry smile and calmly said, Uncle, Auntie, I am grateful for all the care you've given me over the years, but I am an adult now and can walk my own path. You've indeed spent quite a bit on raising me, but the assets left by my deceased parents, which you've managed on my behalf, have surely generated profits far exceeding the cost of raising me. I won't ask for it back. Consider it a thanks for your kindness. But from now on, please don't trouble yourselves. I'll have a lawyer handle the transfer. Hearing this, they were instantly enraged. Lin Yueya, do you think we raised you for your family's money? Indeed, one can never truly be one of us if not born into the family. After so many years, we've raised an ingrate. You're not smart, but we never despised you and always saw you as a future daughter-in-law. But how did you repay us? Is this how you honor your parents who are watching from below? Scenes from the past flashed through my mind. I once naively believed their words, struggling painfully amidst their indifference. But in this life, I will no longer let myself be manipulated. Ha, you treated me as your own daughter, saw me as a future daughter-in-law. In my previous life, everyone was sweet on Shani and Su Xing. No one knew about me, the actual girlfriend. I couldn't stand it and revealed my relationship with Shani online. Enraged, Shin's parents confronted me. Lin Yueya, do you realize this could ruin Shinyi's image? Will it affect his career? He already gave you the status of a girlfriend, and we have accepted you too. What more do you want? Day after day, doing nothing but being jealous. Look at Su Xing, how outstanding he is. When interviewed by the media, they said, little he is like our own daughter because she has been close with our son since they were kids, and her parents passed away early. We took her in out of pity, and she has always been attached to her brother. Suddenly, my name was all over the gossip news. Childhood marriage arrangements. What era are we living in now? What's with this arranged marriage? They adopted her, and she repays kindness with ingratitude. Truly an ungrateful person. Clearly, the Starlight Brilliance duo are a campus couple, and this sinister stepsister just had to interfere. I heard she was a bully in school, always picking on Su Xing. She must be desperate for fame. I heard she's some unknown dancer. Dancing. Is it some kind of provocative dance? It seemed certain that she had undergone some enhancements. She was completely overshadowed by Su Xing's icy goddess demeanor. During that period, I was doxxed, cyberbullied, and abandoned by the world. All thanks to them. So, this time, I was determined not to make the same mistakes. Lin Yueya, if you regret this later, don't come crying back to us. Aunt Shin spat out venomously, as if she had already foreseen my miserable future. Shani stood by, surprised by my words and actions, and angrily questioned me. Yueya, how can you speak to my parents like that? Don't you have a conscience? I smirked coldly, displaying an indifferent smile. No, I'm the ungrateful wretch. Please just leave me alone. Shinyi's parents, dragging him along, advised him, son, once we get home, don't get involved with her again. I stood there quietly for a long time, so long that I didn't even realize when Shinyi suddenly hugged me. He asked softly, Lin Yueya, did you lie to me? Was your previous life unhappy? My eyelids trembled slightly, and my nose felt sour. Actually, we didn't get together right after graduating high school. I chased after Shani for many years and ended up deeply hurt. At 25, my depression was so severe that I attempted suicide and accidentally fell off the stage. That's when you appeared. You said, Lin Yueya, I'm now a world champion. I'll clear your name, marry me, and I will make you the happiest person in the world. Infuriating that despicable couple. On the day we registered our marriage, you announced in front of the media, this is my wife. The girl I have secretly loved for many years. Many criticized you, saying you were blinded by love, and many unfollowed you, but you didn't care, saying athletes are judged by their achievements. You took me everywhere seeking treatment for my leg, provided rehabilitation, played the piano to soothe my anxiety, and sang to me. You held me as I slept, becoming my exclusive sleeping aid. Slowly, you healed me, and I returned to the stage. I hugged him tightly, whispering in his ear, every day with you has been a happy one. He patted my back slowly, but I still came into your life too late. I leaned against Chi Chen's chest, not letting him see the tears in my eyes. I didn't tell him that our happiness didn't last forever. Chi Chen was at the peak of his career when we married. At that time, he had won the Grand Slam and was a national hero, but the prime years of an athlete are few, and no one can remain at the top forever. Yet, the expectations for him were extremely high. So much so that even a second-place finish was criticized as a lack of dedication due to me. Until one competition, already injured, he also developed a high fever right before. I was so worried that I insisted he withdraw. But then, a fanatical fan swung a knife at me, shouting that I was dragging him down, and Chi Chen, instinctively, shielded me with his body. As the college entrance exams approached, Chi Chen and I crammed for academic subjects while also intensely honing our professional skills. Fortunately, in the next competition, Chi Chen won the provincial championship. I devoted all my energy to the art exam. On the day of the exam, I rubbed his gold medal for good luck, hoping some of his winning aura would rub off on me. With the boost from the medal, I performed steadily throughout. Surprisingly, I ended up ranking first in the art exam. After the exam, I had planned to give him a big hug. Unexpectedly, I bumped into the celebrity I adore. He was taller and more handsome in person. And he even greeted me. Hello, your dance was fantastic. I was thrilled, and quickly asked Chi Chen to take a photo of us. The celebrity, noticing the person frowning beside me, curiously asked, who is he? Oh, he's my classmate. On the way back, someone acted like a scorned lover. Classmate, why not husband anymore? So, you don't love me now that you've succeeded. Me, shut up. So I'm just the other man, right? I'm just a joke, right? Me. Don't make me kiss you in front of all these people. He immediately fell silent. I sneakily poked his waist. When can I kiss you? He blushed. Wait, when there's no one around. Soon after, the results of the college entrance exam were released, and both Chi Chen and I passed. We both received admission letters from our desired universities. Unexpectedly, Shani did not go abroad but instead joined Su Xing at the same university in Beijing. The combination of these top students from the same class still caused a sensation at the university. They continued to compete and win awards together. On the school forum, someone posted a photo of the two, commenting on how they were a perfect match. Faced with public speculation, Shani straightforwardly denied it. Just classmates, I have someone I like. Later, some noticed that he indeed seemed to have someone he liked. He enjoyed attending classical dance performances. Each time, he would bring a bouquet of sunflowers, leading people to speculate that it was for the girl he liked. By then, we were sophomores. Chi Chen, due to his excellent grades, joined the national team. I became an overnight internet celebrity after being a dance stand-in for a hit TV series. Online comments praised, Lin Yueya dances so well, truly worthy of being the top art exam candidate, with that face and figure. Have you considered entering showbiz? I heard there's a recent performance. Rushed to buy tickets overnight, the theater performances were sold out. Gradually, people noticed, at every performance, in the first row, there was always a boy with a bouquet of sunflowers, quietly watching the stage. Eventually, it spread that this boy was a top scholar from a prestigious university and my childhood friend. Fans online began to wildly ship our relationship. During this frenzy, Su Xing posted a photo online of her and Shani in a competition, captioned, "The ones who understand each other best." However, this time, she faced a barrage of criticism. Not her sister. Shani has already denied it. He said, "You're just classmates. What are you trying to gain by posting this? Big sister, are you desperate for fame?" Su Xing, you used to look down on others because of your grades in school, and everyone was disgusted by you. What does their childhood friendship have to do with you? Who gave you the confidence that Shani would like you? Such a scheming, malicious look. Lin Yueya outclasses you in looks, body, and grace. The gossip about this was unprecedentedly hot online. Even Xingyi's parents accepted a media interview, stating, "Little Yu, she is our daughter-in-law. She and Xiaoyi have been childhood sweethearts, and we arranged a betrothal for them when they were young. After Xiaoyi's parents passed away, we took her into our home, nurtured her dancing skills, and cherished her as our own daughter." Observing the starkly different attitudes of the couple, I couldn't help but find it amusing. I ignored all their attempts to make amends over the phone and instead sent out a contract prepared by a lawyer back in the day. It clearly stated how they had profited from my family's assets over the years. I thought this couple was kind-hearted, but it turns out they were bleeding me dry. Xiaoyi has been dancing since she was 7. How can you claim you nurtured that? You suck the blood of others and still expect gratitude. Have you no shame? Many media have been asking me about my relationship with Shani. Is it true that Shani and you were childhood sweethearts? After some thought, from the same village, but not close, I then tweeted, tagging Chi Chen, "This is my not yet legal husband." Instantly, Chi Chen's account gained numerous followers. God bless, as chosen by Yu Yi. Indeed, all the handsome ones are offered to the nation. With such a physique and those long legs, one can only imagine how delightful it would be to lie on top of him. What a perfect match. I'm totally shipping them. That night, I was blissfully lying on a set of 8-pack abs. He was no longer at the age where every touch irritated him. The variety was exceptionally great and full of effort. I gradually found it hard to keep up. After swimming 3 kilometers, how can he still have so much energy? Let's sleep. I'm exhausted. I protested loudly. I grabbed his mischievous hands. Tie my clothes properly. He skillfully dodged, his voice husky. Honey, how can you sleep dressed like that? After the performance, I still ended up seeing Shani. This man, truly despicable. Back when I chased after him, he was indifferent. Now that I avoid him, he clings like a relentless persistent nuisance. He held flowers, his expression forlorn. Xiaoyi, I understand. I've done many things in the past that hurt you, but I truly liked you. All these years, I always thought you would look back at me. His head bowed, his voice hoarse and his eyes reddening. I don't understand why you suddenly stopped caring about me. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, but past scenes flashed through my mind like a hopeless dream. Shani, I had a dream. After graduation, you left me and Su Xing to study abroad, saying we'd get married once you graduated. I waited and waited, and when you graduated, you said you needed a career before you could marry me, asking me to wait a bit longer. Later, you and Su Xing started a business together, spending days and nights together, admired by all as a golden couple. No one knew I was your girlfriend. I begged you to come see my performance, just once, to bring me a single flower, and I would have forgiven you. But you never came." He stood there, somewhat in disbelief. I looked at him and gave a bitter smile. "You said, what was the point of such a small theater? Do you know how busy I've been every day?" "Yes, you've been busy dating Su Xing, ringing the Nasdaq bell together, traveling, and meeting each other's parents. I waited for you for so many years, and I'm not content, but what can I do? Everyone thinks I'm the villain. In fact, I've been sick for a long time, and in the end, I attempted suicide multiple times like a madwoman, facing my repeated moral coercion. You got annoyed and asked if marrying you wasn't enough, but just on the eve of our wedding, Su Xing sent me her pregnancy report, and I, in a daze, fell from a high stage and became crippled." I closed my eyes, my throat tightening. "In the end, your parents gave me some money, telling me to fend for myself." He froze, then frantically explained, "How could I do this? I wouldn't treat you that way, Xiao Yi. I promised I'd always protect you. It's just a dream." I shook my head indifferently. "No, it's not, Shani. I may not be clever, but I'm not stupid." I looked straight at him. "Do you really like me?" "No, it's just your reluctance. You're so smart, you know what I like, why I'm unhappy, and how to appease me, but you just won't do it, letting me suffer again and again. You just enjoy my admiration and Su Xing's appreciation of you. Wanting both, put away your cheap affection. I don't value it, and you don't deserve it." After joining the national team, Chen began participating in international competitions. He kept breaking his own records. The whole world saw his brilliance. After gaining some fame, I focused wholeheartedly on preparing for the Taoli Cup competition. The Taoli Cup is the most prestigious honor in the dance world. My mother's biggest regret before she passed away was not winning the championship. So I was determined to give it my all to make up for her regret. Chen and I, it turns out, spent more time apart than together. During a rare moment, we dated near the school. Just a few steps into our walk, a car suddenly rushed out at the intersection. Chen reacted almost instantly, protecting me behind him. After a loud crash, we both fell to the ground. Scenes of him bloodied in a past life flashed through my mind. My heart seemingly gripped by an invisible hand. I trembled all over. Screaming his name, Chen, "Honey, I'm okay, really, I'm okay." He clumsily tried to comfort me. Don't cry, it's just a scrape, I'm fine." Tears already streaming down my face, I shakily touched his face, sobbing uncontrollably. "Jerk, you scared me to death. You're not dead, you didn't die." I held him tightly. "From now on, you're not allowed to get hurt, bleed, or stand in front of me." He nodded repeatedly. Okay, but I didn't know. No matter how many times we do this over, at the moment of danger, he would still instinctively protect me. It took us a long time to recover. Only then did we realize, the person in the car was Su Xing. "Lin Yueya, you didn't die." She stared at me fixedly, her face pale, her eyes hollow, yet, her features had already changed. Here is the translation of the provided text. It was so fake, her face marred by obvious signs of plastic surgery. There was a time when rumors circulated that Su Xing had started undergoing extensive cosmetic procedures. I didn't pay much attention to it, but it turned out to be true. A high school classmate once gossiped that she had confessed her feelings to Shani. Shani rejected her without hesitation, commenting that her actions were incredibly degrading. Su Xing, unwilling to let it go, demanded to know why. Annoyed, Shani curtly replied, "A lot of answers can be found just by looking in the mirror." Back then, many online were harsh, ridiculing her for making a spectacle of herself. She began to get more plastic surgeries, each time becoming less satisfied with her face. Her family wasn't very wealthy, and eventually, she started taking out online loans. Her academics suffered greatly, leading to disciplinary actions from her school, ultimately unable to repay her debts. She even became involved with a middle-aged businessman as his mistress. Su Xing stared at me, hysterical and screaming. "It's all because of you, you've ruined my life, Lin Yueya. Why does everyone adore you while I'm forced to live in the shadows, even though I'm so much more talented than you?" I simply smiled calmly and said, "Perhaps, it's karma." Looking at Su Xing, once proud and arrogant, now in utter ruin, I paused for a moment then said, "Let's call the police." The year I graduated from university, hard work pays off, and I won the Peach Blossom Cup. As soon as I stepped off the stage, I saw someone with a bouquet of flowers waving at me. I ran into his arms excitedly and asked, "Did I dance beautifully?" "You were mesmerizing, like a fairy." He stared at me, infatuated, and said, "Question King Zhou, understand King Zhou, become King Zhou." That same year, Chen represented our country at the Olympics. At 22, he raced through the pool with astonishing speed and endurance, leaving the world record far behind, achieving another milestone during the award ceremony. As the national flag was raised, his eyes welled up with tears. When interviewed by the national media, he couldn't hold back his emotions and burst into tears. "Thank you to my country, my coach, and thank you to my wife." His voice choked up, tears falling more and more fervently. Soon, reporters gathered around trying to console him. Just then, as if remembering something crucial, he frantically pulled out a diamond ring from his pocket, sobbing uncontrollably. The reporters, seeing no other option, turned to me, desperate. "Please say yes to him, or we'll never calm him down." Looking at this blubbering mess, I couldn't help but laugh. I quickly went over to embrace him, slipping the ring onto my finger. There, it's okay, I accept." After a while, with a flushed face, he asked me, "Was I embarrassing just now?" I sighed. "Well, it wasn't too bad." He raised his hands, promising, "Next time, I definitely won't cry." I rolled my eyes at him. He always says that, yet always ends up shedding tears. Half the pool's water must be his. In the following years, Chi-Chen continued representing our country, earning more honors. I, through hard work, took to even greater stages. At 28, Chi-Chen could no longer compete and retired with honors, starting to coach young athletes to break his own records. I also passed the stage on to younger dancers and returned to teaching. That year, we started planning for a child. A bit worried, I asked him, "Do you think our child might end up being rather slow?" He replied, "If they're talented, they'll serve the country. If mediocre, they'll be our joy." Neither of us had a complete family or love growing up. We decided to relive our own childhoods through them. On our 10th graduation anniversary, we attended the school celebration as distinguished alumni, along with several classmates. Suddenly, someone mentioned, "Hey, do you know Shani? I heard his family went bankrupt." I heard he made a lot of money by investing in real estate right after graduation, but then the industry slumped, and his investments failed. Now his company has gone bankrupt and is being liquidated. I was momentarily dazed, finding the name strangely unfamiliar. "Hey, you know. Did you used to have feelings for him back in the day?" I shook my head frantically. "Not at all.